morning. Welcome to the Atrioc broadcast here on May 17th, 2025. Year of our Lord. Lord and Savior 2025. I'm working late because I'm a streamer. I'm working late because I'm a streamer. And I am late. I am late. I'm late today. I was at a birthday party that I was also late to, if I'm going to be honest with you. If I'm going to be dead honest, I was late to a birthday party, and then I had to stay late at the birthday party. How? I was at basketball, and that was not late to. Bro is perpetually late? No, I'm not perpetually late. I'm perpetually overscheduled. That's what I am. Where'd you get that drip? When you say drip, do you mean the same flannel that I've worn on this stream thousands of times before? Is that what you mean? Is this the very flannel that I've been made fun of for wearing because it's a flannel that I overly wear? I don't understand how that. Yeah, it's like I have this flannel. I have a more blue flannel than this. I have a jean shirt type jacket thing, and then I have the Lehman Brothers sweater. That's like my four tops. That's the four things I cycle, dude. If I'm being honest, this one's the favorite. All right, I'll keep that in mind. I also have the white one that Ari got me. There's a Latino name for it. The nice white one. I forget what that's called. It's not El Shirto. That's not Gringo. It's not. No, it's none of the things you said. You got a coffee stain on my Lehman Brothers sweater, bro. That's true fandom. Real ones will be like, "Damn, you got it signed by the coffee cow." It's brilliant. I mean, it's a brilliant merging of. That's genius. How are you guys doing? I had a hectic day. Running from thing to thing. I was late to that birthday party. I felt bad about it. I missed the beginning. And so I went to get a secret cake to make up for being late. And I had to call like 5 bakeries to get the right cake, and none of them would get it. And then finally I got this very authentic French person. I don't know if he was faking. Like, it almost felt like he put on a fake French accent to sound more authentic. But he sold me, and I showed up, and he was the only one there. It was an empty bakery in, like, the basement of a larger building, and he sold me an incredible chocolate cake. Ludwig with a mustache? Ludwig can't cook, so I wouldn't trust that. Did he say, like, cake? No, but he was like... I can't even do an example because my French accent's not so good. Although it's better than Squeaks. It's actually certifiably better than Squeaks. I won a contest to prove that it's better than Squeaks. Mexican late or late? What does that mean? What is Mexican late versus late? Are you talking bad about my people? As a Latino myself, I'm actually a little bit... I think he means like 15 minutes late, 20 minutes late versus like incredibly late. I was late. Don't get me wrong. I was probably over an hour late. Not that a birthday party doesn't have a normal start time, but this one did because it was like the guy was doing a magic thing first, and then everyone goes to the bars for the birthday, and I was only there for the bars part. I missed the magic part. And the magic part needed specific pairings. So I brought a cake to make up for it. Hey, Big A, have you heard the streaming service Max changed its name to HBO Max? Not only have I heard about it, I've talked about it like 7 times since it's happened. And it was only a few days ago, so I feel like I've truly covered it. You brought a cake to the bars? Yeah, they had like a back behind the bar area, an outdoor area all rented out. And so I brought a cake to that, and then they gave us... Oh, my God, though, dude. I go, so I get to this party late, and I bring the cake as a token of fucking appreciation, and I give the guy a hug, and you might even know him. This is this guy Travis Gafford. He's like, it used to be in the League of Legends scene a lot. Now he's more into Magic, but anyway, I brought him a cake. Double lift guy. Yeah, okay. And there's a bunch of esports people. There's like a lot of rioters there. Not like people rioting, but people that work at Riot Games. Like maybe Kobe. Not Kobe Bryant, he's dead, but Kobe the caster. Like a lot of casters there. Anyway, Squeaks was not there. Yeah, Jat. Those type of people, okay? It's rioters. So I show up with the cake and I give Travis a hug, and he's fine and we have a good time. That's great. But then I feel bad because I was late, and so I'm constantly trying to like help out. Anytime they're like, "Oh, we need a knife or napkins," like, I'll get it, and I go talk to the restaurant, whatever. I'm like volunteering. Anyway, then everyone's there and we're all sitting out back with the fire pits on, and they're like, Travis is like, "I want to take a picture of everybody." And so Travis stands in the picture. I'm like, "Bro, you should be in the picture. It's your birthday. Let me take it." And I like jump up to take the picture, and I step on a wooden table, smash it in half. Fucking break the fucking table. I'm not even drunk. I literally showed up. I haven't had one sip of anything yet. And I smashed this wooden table. It was like the plank breaks. It was kind of a menace moment. Anyway, so then I take the photo and then I have to go pay for the table. I had to go pay for the table. It was a weak ass table. To be clear, it was a weak ass table. And to their credit, so I went up and I just admitted, I was like, "Hey, I broke your table. I'll pay for it. I'm sorry." And the guy who was like, I swear to God, he looked like a model. The waiter, he's like a Scandinavian looking dude, like a fucking thick beard, flowing hair. And he was wearing like thick, leather overalls. It was like a hipster bar. He just looks at the table and he's like, it was its time. Dude, he mocked me and then didn't make me pay for the table. It was crazy. That's great. I was so blown away. I was like, dude, you're a legend. So all in all, it turned out fine. I didn't end up with any extra costs outside of the cake, and I was happy to bring that. Why would you have to pay for the table? It's a restaurant. I stepped on a table and broke it. I should have to pay for it. I was happy to pay for it, but he didn't. He was totally Chad about it. And then he picked up both parts of the table and walked off with it on his shoulders. The guy was actually just a Chad. Should offer at least. I did offer. Are you listening to the story? I'm getting so annoyed, dude. I'm getting so annoyed with chatters in general. I gotta be honest with you. I just said that I offered. Dude, I was reading. Dude, we're in crash out mode for a second. I gotta crash out because I should have taken screenshots of this. I have to fucking say something. I have to say something because it is insanely annoying. You can't imagine being in the shoes of somebody who does this, okay? If you have a human empathy and put yourself in the shoes, dude, just like, here, I'm going to give some examples. I'm going to give some fucking examples. I'm going to give some fucking examples. Okay, here it is. Okay. I made a video. I was talking about the Trump executive order on healthcare prices. And I basically, the video is pretty nuanced. I talk about how I think this is the problem in America. Here's what we can do about it. Here's why I'm skeptical about this executive order. Here's why I think it's kind of a threat to the courts, yada, yada, yada. Dude, I swear to God, I am pretty confident that at least 80% of the people that commented on that did not watch the video. Did not even watch it. They literally just clicked the video, read the title thumb, and then started fucking yapping. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's so annoying to have, and then like if someone comments and nobody hits the upvote button, fine, okay, whatever. There's a psycho out there, but this one like right here, here I'm just gonna pull up fucking examples. Wait, where's the okay? Like this one right here, like this one got like 200 upvotes. The point is, it's not a good idea to do the way he is through executive order. It'll be ruled down by the courts. It needs to be done through Congress. I say this specifically in the video. The top comment is thanks. I watched the video. Me when I didn't watch last 3 minutes video. It's fucking crazy. Like it's not like alluded to. It's like specifically said. All of this is in the video. This guy didn't watch it, dropped it in the middle, and then 200 people upvoted that. That's fucking crazy. It's like, what, as a YouTuber, what can you do to get through to somebody who doesn't even watch the video they're commenting on? Then this one right here. This one got 600 plus upvotes. This is a nothing burger. The EO is basically please lower price with zero enforcement costs. Pharmaceutical stocks rose. People actually saw the details. This is in the video. Pharmaceutical stocks rising when they saw the is in the video. Top person, as was covered in the video. But this gets 41 upvotes. This gets 691. It's brazy, dude. It's fucking brazy. It's an impossible world we're living in to get any ideas across because people are so goddamn stupid. They don't have the attention span for a clip video, let alone, it's crazy, dude. People have gotten so stupid. Because I think I'm dumb, and I'm realizing how dumb everybody is. Anyway, I'm sorry for crashing out, but I just had to say that because it's like, it builds up. When you make content over a period of time, it builds up. And that one was my like straw. I was like, what is the point? What is the point of me doing the effort to add that stuff in if they don't even see it? They don't even see it. Noel Sack, thank you for the 25 months. Anyway, I had a great time at the birthday party. I'm not actually mad. I'm fine. I don't know. I read that this morning. I was like annoyed. Well, I had a Vine boom next time to fucking save people's brains. Maybe if you added Subway surfers on screen next, that's what I feel like I have to do. I feel like we've already distilled it down to clippable moments and people can't engage with that. I have to fit all my ideas in a TikTok. If I want to talk about anything serious, I got to fit all my ideas in a goddamn TikTok to get it through to, I can't learn unless it's Secret Millionaires Club. Amen to that, brother. Okay, if you guys missed it, we watched episode 1 of Warren Buffett's kids show, Secret Millionaires Club, and it was surprisingly hilarious. It had actual cameos from Jay-Z. It had actual dinner with Jay-Z. That shit was actually funny. So I may actually watch more episodes of it. The Jay-Z voice acting was hilarious. It really was. I can't believe that got made. I can't believe I can't believe it. I can't believe it. To be honest, I can't believe it. But it looked like, it did look like a Flash animation. That's for sure. Hey, Atrioc, I'm not sure if you've heard, but there's a meme in this community that you like hot dogs. Have you seen it? No. That sounds funny. Why do you guys never tell me about these funny community memes? That's clever. That's new. Finally, something fresh and new. What, I like hot, like some sort of like glizzy gobbler or something. That sounds really funny. That's got legs. That's got potential. Anyway, today's Get Smarter Saturdays. I'm late to this stream, so it's not going to be the longest stream, but I want to watch some YouTube videos with chat. That's what it is. Get Smarter Saturdays is a, storied institution. We watch incredible YouTube videos that chat suggests, and they can't be too long. They can't be too boring. Today I wanted to do history stuff if I could. I'm very history pilled lately. Been reading some history stuff, and I thought that would be fun. Maybe an extra history, maybe oversimplified. I don't think I've ever seen oversimplified World War I. I was thinking of watching that today. Simplified. That could be a fun fucking thing to watch. World War I oversimplified? Yeah, sounds fucking hype. There's a new Veritasium. How one company secretly poisoned the planet. That sounds interesting. Bro, that got 7 million views in 3 days. Jesus. It's an hour long. Yeah, but a Veritasium video, they keep the pacing pretty good. I don't know. I'm more big on them ever since we watched that video about the stuff in gasoline, the lead in gasoline. That was a good video. That was just a well-made, good video. I really enjoyed it. And I think we should bring back the lead. I don't know if anybody agrees with me. Anyone's brave enough to stand up and be counted. But I think we should bring back the lead because it made life a little chiller. You know what I'm saying? The gasoline tasted better. The air used to smell better. I know that it sounds like a little crazy, but I think we like it. It's a natural high. Lead is naturally occurring. So what the fuck is wrong with putting lead in things? I think we should put lead in Subway sandwiches. But that's just me. Bring back muskets too. That seems less important. You can get a musket right now. That's actually you're not limited to. They're just not effective. Muskets aren't gone. They've been out competed. Do you think if you were able to get a musket in the UK, you would be able to rule as a god king because they only have knives there? Do you think if you were to get even the weakest gun, you would have exorbitant power over the UK because nobody has a gun in that whole country? Don't bring a shank to a musket fight. You could probably do it with a Nerf gun. Yeah, maybe. You know what? I did hear this, the King of Sevens. You would think I hadn't heard of it because I don't care about Bionicle, but I actually did hear it, and I am sad about it. There was a really well-made Bionicle fan game they've been working on for years, and Lego shut it down as of like today. It's actually pretty sad. It's actually pretty fucked up. You'd think they would support something. Bionicle dead franchise, by the way. Like, let the fans keep it alive. Insane for Lego to shut that down. Musket with no ammo is worse weapon than knife infinite ammo. Yes. You're right. I don't know who you're arguing with. If I was talking about using a musket with ammo. Who does anyone agree with you on this? Yeah, by the way, muskets often have bayonets, so they have an advantage. I don't know that this is a controversial opinion that you're taking. I do think that what do I think? I do think it would be interesting if we all agreed to get rid of all nuclear weapons and guns and then see which country comes out on top. Like, you could just go back to, like, the war was cooler then, you know? War was cooler then. I do think China and India would have a big advantage given their population sizes. Swords really favors population. Navies would be awkward. And horse riding. Horses would come back in a big way. Horses would come back in a big way. What if you weren't allowed to use guns and you weren't allowed to use bombs or missiles or nukes or anything? What technology would rise to the top? Because at the end of the day, knives still wouldn't be better than just driving tanks into people. Just driving them. You're not even... I think cars would become the ultimate. And who dominates cars? Okay? Americans. We drive cars all the time. It'll be twisted metal. China? No, EVs, dude. They're not, that's too dangerous. We got a Ford F-150, dude. How are you gonna drive a killdozer? I think in that world, like it would be you can't have mines, nothing explosive, so it would just be cars. It would be very Mad Max. It would be very Mad Max. Tacomas are the truck of choice. I do it. It is impressive how over decades Toyota basically became an American company. Like, I mean, not financially, but I mean, they've just infiltrated the American ethos to the point where a Toyota truck just feels American. It's like they've done so many like truck type ads. It just feels American. Like nobody. Take my Tacoma, I'll take your life. Amen, brother. God willing. Hey, Atrioc. I'm dumb and totally cool admitting it, but I need advice. Hey, me too, brother. My family thinks it's okay to price something up to 10x what it's worth for shareholders when it's hurting the consumer, the younger demographic, and due to lack competition. Am I too anti-capitalist or do I have something to go on? What product are you talking about? What do you got to give me some more specifics here. What was the context of your question? You know, questions like that are often due to framing, right? You frame it the right way. I'll wait for your answer to go more deeper. But you know, the general theory here is right that if you can't walk away, if you don't have the choice to pick something else, that's when it's exploitative. Right? Whenever they can if it's a monopoly, right? If they have something you have to have and they can raise the prices on you, then you need the government to get involved. But if you can choose something else, they can price it however the fuck they want. You know, they'll just lose customers. You know, if I charge you $10,000 for the video game Get to Work, you just don't buy it. You understand? You just don't buy it. Maybe I sell one-to-one guy, but you don't buy it. That's you have options for other games you'd rather play. I have to price it low enough that you're willing to give it a shot over other things. You would because you're breaded like that. Well, I forgot that all my viewers are fucking Giga Chad rich. And also as my viewers, you're contractually obligated to buy all my projects. But so it really depends on the product. And the level of competition in the market. That's why antitrust is so important. That's why antitrust was the hallmark of, you know, the golden age of competition in America and what Lena Khan was fighting for. Because if you have good information on what you're buying and there's not one company dominating the market, then usually you have a lot of choices and they have to compete to get your business. that leads to more innovation and lower prices and yada, yada, yada. But we've sort of lost that art, kind of really post Reagan, but it's gotten, worse steadily over time. We just don't break up any monopolies. We don't write regulation in a way that can't be captured by the dominant player in the market. We do a lot of things. It was a mistake not reading all 72 pages of the contract when becoming an Atrioc chatter. I just read the first paragraph and signed. The first paragraph is just glizzy, 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 moo. And you're like, yeah, I'll sign that. And I got rights to your fucking DNA. I got rights to your fucking life. I got your future earnings potential. I got your, yeah. Yep. This is a long con. My legal team is crack. They do crack, and they're also a crack legal team. What is this one? Perchance. If it's going to be a shorter stream, might I humbly recommend we start the GSS more expeditiously than usual. With full respect to the importance of stream opening waffling, it's like a late night host monologue, but just tonight. Okay, brother, relax. Relax. Fucking Sir Cromsworth. Okay? I will start it when I feel it is right. It's really the art and science of streaming is knowing that magical moment that it's right, okay? Sometimes you have to extend the timer. Streaming's like sex. I've never had sex, but I feel like that. Yeah, I feel like that. It's like it's a real art. It's a real human extent. This is a history video about an ancient Greek fuckboy.
On those Dos Equis.
Maybe. Maybe I'll click that. That seems kind of funny. It's got 1 million views. But I'm not just yet ready. Listen, I'm talking for a bit. My God. You guys at the fucking... I have to feel some kind of vibe, or otherwise, what's the point? I'm just fucking pulling up videos. I like talking. I'm white. Yeah, I'm late. I'm white too. You gotta criticize me for that? You're getting racist now? Pog, I'm finally catching you live. Hey! Are you a first-time chatter? Zester, we have a thing here. Well, if you're a first-time chatter, you can pick any topic you want. Zester 101, welcome to the stream. You can pick any topic in the world, and we're going to talk about it. It might even make it to a goddamn Big A clip, which is probably how you found your way here to begin with. And there's no pressure, but everyone is staring. Thousands of people across the world are staring at you right now. White genocide. Let's talk about white genocide in South Africa. Bro, you guys are laughing now until we flash forward 5 years and 95% of streamers are just AI-generated VTubers built off Grok, and they are talking about that 24/7. And you don't even fucking know. You can't tell the difference, and you're all just in chat fucking watching infinitely created slop from an AI-generated VTuber. God, I can't wait. How is this not slop? Richie Pete, I know my content isn't for everyone, but if you are a 20-month sub following for 7 years, something like that, who has 999 plus messages in my chat, and you don't think there's any value to it, then don't fucking watch! Okay? But if you're gonna watch, then have a better attitude than sitting around here fucking talking that ish. Nah, I'm done with YOK, bro. It's over. It's over. Those comments on that last video, they ended it for me. I just realized that the level of fucking stupidity is too fucking low. The bar is too low. I do think people's brains have rotted. I think they've rotted out of their fucking skulls. I actually think a lot of people are they're just cooked. They're just cooked, dude. They can't synthesize a complete thought. I do feel like it's idiocracy because I feel like I'm dumb and I'm walking around and people can't even, it doesn't, the left neuron is not firing to the right neuron. It's got what plants crave. Listen, I love Brondo. That's the thing. I think Brondo's a good idea. All right? We're not going to give plants water? First time chatter, short time follower. Can we talk about the decline of quality usernames over time? I agree with your brain rot theory, but I think it's some inherent. Your big issue with modern society is that quality usernames don't exist. Your username is I hate bad you. This is your big fucking stance? This is what you think the problem is? Usernames? You're a single issue voter and it's about the quality of you. What's an example of a good username? If I'll pick a random name. Boop. This is probably just your full name, huh? Yuan Trang. What about this one? Warden here. Is that a good username? Warden here. That seems fine to me. I think of it like if you're picking a warden unit in Warcraft 3 or something, and it goes, Warden here. You click it, Warden here. That's good. I like that. I give it a thumbs up. I don't think I can rate it out of 10 because I don't care. It's like, it's either good, fine, egregiously bad. That's the only options for a username. It's like, it's either good, fine, or just like, wow, that's horrendous. What about this one? Sigma Ligma 420. That's what you call good. That's a good one. Sigma Ligma 420. That tells a story. That's an incredible username. I'm randomly picking. Boom. Jack 4 dot. That's fine. It's a fine username. Jack 4 dot. Unless, I mean, I could save your username. I'm picturing you like a fucking, you're an ace pilot and your targeting reticule is 4 dots instead of 1. And they call you Jack 4 dot because you always hit your fucking mark, but you have a different, and that's your call sign is 4 dot. It's on the side of your helmet. You have lore now. That's fucking sick. That's fucking sick, dude. I've just created a character. And you're like a Chad, dude. Wait, I want lore? Your name is Tatonk. I picture you as an incredibly drunk person on Wall Street, and they asked you what you want to buy. And you said, stonk, stonk. That's your lore. Okay? What's mine? Magical garlic costume. I picture you as like, you're a good chef, but you never, ever, ever got any customers for your restaurant. And so finally, you got your magician brother to help out with the marketing. And he did a whole magic themed thing to try and get customers into your restaurant where he wore a magical garlic costume and would do tricks for the audience. And then that helped you bond and it saved your restaurant. Do me. Detective 77. You are a Russian sleeper agent. Sent to investigate cybercrime in the year 2043. And when they awaken you with the right trigger phrase, you activate and find your target. Me. Your name's Defective Crab. Yeah, you're a broken crab. What kind of lore do you want on this? You're a broken crab, dude. That's not okay. That's not a. All right, this is a unproductive. Some of your usernames speak for yourselves, dude. There's no lore there. Yeah, I should do this for subs because you guys are fucking screaming for it. There's actually, dude, it's fucking crazy. This is why AI streamers are going to take over. Because all people want is just the fucking engagement. It's just going to be an AI-generated slop VTuber pulling your stream up and being like, wow, here's something for you, da-da-da-da-da. And then you're going to feel fucking neurons activated. That's it. The content won't even matter. It's just going to be the fucking swoosh from an AI-generated VTuber. Make more lore for Jack 4 Dot. I'm not going to write a book series about Jack 4 Dot, the ace pilot, okay? The legendary Jack 4 Dot, dude. He shot down 4 Russian MiGs, dude. And they put 4 dots on the side of his plane. The ghost of Jack. What did Jack 4 Dot do becoming a pilot? He was a bad man, actually, and he turned his life around. Jack 4 Dot used to be a bit of a drunkard. He was in a biker gang, and would get too drunk, and he would crash out because his parents died when he was young. Obviously, his parents died when he was young. He's an orphan, and he just sort of like rode around and crashed out, and like his life was a mess until one day he picked a fight with the wrong guy, and it was an older fighter pilot who was just about to retire at a bar, and that guy blocked his hand and could have beat the shit out of him, could have beaten him up, but he stopped him and said, "Listen, kid, you need to turn your life around." And that's when Jack 4 Dot gave it a shot, dude, and he joined the fucking Air Force, and he aced all his fighter exams because he was a natural. I'm a rep from Universal Studios. Can we talk? This is an ad for the U.S. military. Yes, they paid me for this. This whole Jack 4 Dot thing was a long-term plan. You saw right through it. What has Jack 4 Dot said since I started this? Jack 4 Dot. He said, yep to everything I said. He said, yep, cinema to everything I've said about Jack 4 Dot. Well, that's confirmed then. That's fucking confirmed. It is confirmed. I feel like going to war now. You know, if war didn't kill anyone, if you could like Edge of Tomorrow it, and then everyone is back at the end of it, be kind of fun. Be kind of cool, you know? Be kind of cool if we could have a big war, but then at the end of it, everyone goes back to normal. The thing that sucks about war is that people die. Is that so many people die? Yeah. Yeah. No, for sure. For sure. For sure. I do think that was like, I think that's when war like took the wrong path. You know what I'm saying? Like I liked war before the whole killing people thing, but after that became part of it, I was like, I'm out. It's not, I just don't feel like I'm into it anymore. You know, it wasn't, war lost its way. War lost its way. Yeah. Mm. I think it would be cool if all wars were like in Troy when they have everybody in the army line up and they send out one guy. And then they have a fucking epic battle in the middle and then the winner is just like, all right, well then that you win. That'd be kind of hype. It's like more of like a show. A sick 1v1. We just use diplomacy. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like soccer could have been. Yeah, there's a lot of ways it could go. I'm just saying, like we should probably be rethinking war because it seems like a big L. I'm looking around at war and I'm like, this sucks. This is nobody's having fun. Nobody doing it is having a good time, and it's like, what? If we're not going to change that, what's the point? So like, can we fucking? The meta has gotten so shit. Try hard flankers ruin the meta. War is chopped. I do think war's chopped, dude. I think war's gotten chopped. I feel like war used to be. War used to have a yacht, you know? And now it's like chopped. Anyway, with that prelude in mind, let's get smarter. With that prelude in mind, let's get smarter Saturdays. All I need from you is a YouTube link of a video that we can watch. These are our options. The 10 bankruptcies of Norton Motorcycles. The unlikely rise of the Indian space program inside New Zealand's bombing culture. Theodore Roosevelt, Trustbuster. That sounds interesting. But it's 49 fucking minutes, so I'm not sure about it. Olga of Kiev, the Viking saint of Russia. Neanderthals were smarter than we think. Meet the drug lord selling 40 kilograms of sugar to addicts. Okay. The Great Depression in 12 minutes, casual economics. That sounds kind of good. 12 minutes? The Great Depression? Casual economics? It's tempting. It's tempting. Fuck it.
The Great Depression was the worst economic...
Fuck it. Oh, 2.2 million views in a month? What the fuck? Wow. Brand new channel? Brand new channel? Dude, I kind of want to do this. I want to do this fucking make a new channel to prove it's not Ludwig type shit beat. and just make like a fucking animated like I want to talk about history and shit, but how do I do it on my main channel? It doesn't make sense. Just me. But it'd be my voice, so it'd be everyone would know. Let's try it.
The Great Depression was the worst economic downturn in modern history.
Yikes!
People went from parties, jazz music, and riches in the roaring 20s to losing their life savings and standing in bread lines.
What do you think it costs to get animation like this? Doesn't even look that hard. Not $5 for a 12-minute video? No way. What do you think it costs for this video? Like if I wrote a script and I recorded it, what would it cost to get it animated? I wonder. $1K, $5, $10K. If you're an animator and you think you could do a 12-minute video like this, not necessarily this style, but reach out. I'd be interested. I would be interested in the idea. I'd love to explore a format where it's not only me talking. Well, it's me talking, but with different visuals.
In the span of a few years. And the Depression wasn't just in America. Its impact spread across the world and ultimately led to the start of World War II.
Yikes!
But what exactly caused the Depression?
Was World War II the bad one? I have trouble remembering. I know that one of the world wars was awesome and everybody had a good time. And one of them was kind of sad. Volume up 20. All right, I'll put it up a little bit. You guys know how like 80% of all wars in human history were based and everyone had a good time and everyone loved them? Well, it turns out there was one war where it was like, oh, this kind of sucks. And I think that was one of the world wars. I'm not far away from a historian, you know?
And what lessons can we learn from it? Let's start in 1918. World War I has just ended, and American soldiers are returning home having won the war. Ah, it feels good to be back. During the war, women had for the first time begun to enter the workforce, and with men returning now, the economy saw a post-war boom.
All
This
right.
economic boom, alongside a growing culture change, created
With all these post-war booms, why don't we just have wars all the time to boost the economy? That was our first mistake. Cutie, you're anti-women in the workplace. That's a core political philosophy, is we got to take women out of the workplace. It's
the era known as the Roaring Twenties. Party! At this time in Detroit, Michigan, a man named Henry Ford would revolutionize transportation with the
famously really tolerant of Jewish people, Henry Ford. One of his biggest accomplishments. One thing he was big about is tolerance. So
Ford Model T
before
car.
you bring up anything,
Facing huge demand for the car, his company introduced the process of the moving assembly line. This mass production dropped the car's price from $780 in 1910 to $200.
yeah, their slogan used to be "Built Ford Tolerance." Yes. That's what it used to be. Back then, they had different priorities, okay? And it was about how tolerant you could be. And that shit was actually really based, okay? Thank you, Henry Ford, for that. And yes, later in life, he would play Han Solo in the movie Star Wars. A storied life. A very storied life for Henry Ford. Just a man that lived and breathed, you know?
$190 in 1924, making it the first inexpensive car for the masses. By 1927, the 15 millionth Model T would roll out of the factory.
Sheesh.
You get a car. You get a car. Everyone gets a car. Many companies would copy this assembly line process to mass produce other inventions, including the radio, washing machine,
Nice.
and vacuum. With mass production of new products and improved advertising using the radio, the age
I feel like this is going to sound a little silly, and it is, and I'm not really thinking it through. But it was cool when all new products weren't. It was cool when one product, which is your phone, didn't do everything. It was cool when you would get a new music player. The iPod was a cool product. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, this thing would do this. There would be like a gadget for everything. And there would something be new. I'm not really thinking this through, but I just remember how fucking cool the iPod was. 1,000 songs in your pocket. That was cool. And now it's like all primarily through the phone, a lot of the new updates. Even the upgrade, this is going to sound really old, but even the upgrade from VHS to DVD was so cool. It was so cool. I remember being like, this is I'm living through the advancement of society. It's cool. VHSs were shitty. You had to rewind them and it was lame. And then DVD was like, damn, I can pick a different chapter to start in. There's a bonus feature. If anything, we've regressed. If anything, we've regressed from the DVD. I will say that. Because the DVDs used to have these menus and you'd have a bunch of bonus features and you have a bunch of shit. And now a movie comes out, I watch it on a streaming service, I don't own it, and there's no bonus shit. No, I don't fully believe what I'm saying. Just to be clear, I don't fully believe it because I like the convenience of streaming. I probably wouldn't actually take this if I could press a button. But there is something lost. It's like I like to argue for this because I do feel like there was something beautiful about it. Isn't buying a subscription cheaper than buying thousands of discs? Yes. Well, I mean, sort of. If you consider it as a fee you have to pay your entire life, then not really. You know, like realistically, if your media diet includes Netflix, then you're always going to be paying. It's a tax. It's a bill you have to pay at all times. And you don't own it. So if you ever stop, you've lost all your. Now, obviously, piracy is cheaper than all this, but that was always the case. I'm more talking about for people who were trying to like be law abiding. By the way, I'm now a pirate, not for any fucking reason other than that my wife is a huge pirate. My wife's fucking Blackbeard, dude. She just deleted all our apps that I was paying for, and now we're pirating everything. I used to happily pay for Prime, Netflix, HBO, Apple, all the fucking. And now we don't pay for any. Disney, we don't pay for any of them. It's the thrill. I miss the newspapers. Okay, again, as someone who reads the physical paper, I'm not the best person to ask about this. I am a bit dated in my ways, but I do think that there's a fair argument to be made that back when people got their news from reading a physical paper, they were more likely to understand what the fuck they were talking about. Like the general society of people that followed the news would be more likely to understand what they were talking about in some way. Versus just, I don't know, AI summarized plus headline plus TikTok clip. The smell of ink is well worth it. Anyway, I'm not that big on it. Even sometimes I'll find myself, I'm at the cafe, I'm reading the FT physical edition. I'll get digitally bored. I'll take my phone out. I'll open the FT app and end up reading the same article I was reading physically. This has happened many occasions. Many occasions where I'm reading the exact same article digitally that I was reading physically. So it's not... That's unhinged. You need help. That's unhinged and I need help because I'm reading an FT article digitally instead of physically. That's unhinged. I'm reading a full-fledged long-form article for fucking half an hour to 45 minutes. But because I I need Jesus Christ in my life. Holy fuck, I'm cooked. I don't think so. I don't trust your diagnosis. I'll be honest with you. I don't trust it.
Of consumerism had officially...
Where were we? Oh, yeah. Okay. Okay. We're in the 20s. Henry Ford assembly line rolls out an age of consumerism. They're making a bunch of shit assembly line. Okay. Everyone's getting new stuff. They're getting better vacuums, better cars, yada, yada, better radios.
Consumerism had officially begun. Everyone wanted the latest and greatest new product. To help with the demand, banks began giving out loans more freely to people so that they could buy these new products on credit with money they didn't yet
Always
have.
works out. Always works out.
Times were good. People were partying, there was jazz music, and a spirit of social liberation.
How about
Good to
that?
see you at the party, old sport. Prohibition had started in 1920, but meant little to this new generation. The parties were bigger, the morals were looser, and Wall Street became the place to be.
Prohibition famously
From
worked really
1921
well.
to 1929, the US stock market increased sixfold.
Nice.
Driven by the post-war boom, easy credit, and all the demand for new consumer products.
Nice.
As the public learned about these incredible returns from the stock market, everyone began putting money in and talking about it more. This created a snowball effect, where as the stock market continued to go up, people began to blindly sink all their savings into stocks, and some even took out loans,
All right.
which further drove prices up.
All right.
When people believe no price is too high for a stock, that can be a warning sign that the price is no longer...
And yet, famously, it never stopped going up. The video ends here, and that's what happened. Everyone found out that stocks were free money. Everyone put their money in, and they all got rich. And to this day, it's worked for everyone to have a life of leisure and productivity. It was a great invention that we found in the 20s, and ever since then, we've been partying. How awesome is that?
longer based on fundamentals, and may have been driven up to irrational levels.
Nah.
Although stock prices were reaching new highs, something...
How many mega cap companies from back then are still on top of their game? It's actually an interesting question. I would assume very few, to be honest. You know, Ford is a big company back then, is not a powerhouse now. I don't know. It'll be interesting. Top 10 companies by year. Top 10 companies by in 1928. Number. Okay, here we got it right here. Let's see which of these companies are still around and like powerful. Standard Oil, no. General Motors, still around, not powerful, not number one, number two. Ford Motor, still around, not very powerful. U.S. Steel, still around, very weak, about to get bought by the Japanese. Great Atlantic and Pacific Tea Corporation, doesn't exist. Swift & Co. doesn't exist. Sears is dead. General Electric, basically dead. Western Electric, don't think it exists. Chrysler, got merged. Not very big. Yeah, I mean, I don't think anything else is much around. Yeah, this is pretty much all gone. Pretty much all gone. This is for 19... Yeah. No. GE is fine. I mean, it's fine, I guess. It's actually doing decently well here in 2025. I don't know if that's like a debt thing or something, but obviously, it peaked in the year 2000 and is not close 25 years later to where it was. I mean, what I'm saying is none of these companies are still the powerhouses that they were. Same thing with, the biggest companies when I was a kid, when they were like, not in the fucking Stone Age, but in like the 90s. When I remember growing up and the biggest companies in the world were all like, it was like oil companies and no, I'm thinking of pre-tech bubble. Biggest companies let's just say like 95. Yeah, it was Walmart, ExxonMobil, AT&T, General Electric, still Sears actually. Wow. In 95. GM, dude, in 1995, the middle of the 90s, the biggest three companies in America were General Motors, Ford, and ExxonMobil. That's crazy because none of those guys are close now. I mean, Exxon's still big, but not even close. Anyway. Yeah, I'm like the biggest tech company in 1995 is like, I'm scrolling. The Coke, Pepsi. There's not a tech company on here. The biggest tech company in 1995 is HP, Hewlett Packard, at 22. I'm sorry. I guess IBM at 7. I guess IBM. Exxon has grown a ton since 95. All companies on this list have grown in terms of, well, not all of them, but most of them have. It's not about growing. It's about the relative scale. Exxon is no longer top 3, is what I'm trying to say. Exxon was top 3, and now it's not. Was it Microsoft around then? It was, but Microsoft didn't become a massive, top 10 company until the late 90s into the tech bubble. 2000. At which point it has not left, I don't think, our top 10. Once you get Apple in the top 10, it hasn't left. It's been around. Anyway, just interesting. Interesting that most of these companies that seem so dominant aren't around a few decades later. Or not around, but they've lost their top spot. What's IBM doing now? I think IBM's on a bit of a bounce back, right? I think IBM's on a bit of a bounce back. They do some AI stuff. Still like corporate tech solutions. Yeah, it's not bad. Working on quantum computers, I guess. You work there? Anyway, well, back to the video. Sorry, I was distracted. These are the big companies.
Although stock prices were reaching new highs, something wasn't right.
What?
By the mid-1920s, the economy and demand for products had slowed drastically. With Europe still recovering from the aftermath of World War I, and few countries being able to afford the new consumer items, global trade was stalling. This didn't matter as people were still overwhelmingly optimistic and expected the stock market would continue to see record yearly performances each year.
Hell yeah.
Extreme greed and unrealistic fantasy filled the air. With margin, people could even buy stocks for only 40 to 10% of the actual stock price, and then pay off their loan when the stock sold for large profits. I would like to take out a loan. Sure, what for? A house, a business, a farm? To buy stocks. Fine by me, here you go. By 1929, 40% of US consumer debt was being used to purchase stocks.
Dude, that's crazy.
And in that same year, the US had just elected...
That's actually crazy. That's crazy. 40% of our debt towards stocks? That is not the case now. People are gambling on stocks on debt, but it's not 40% of all consumer debt. That's crazy.
...was being used to purchase stocks. And in that same year, the US had just elected a new president, Herbert Hoover.
Yeah, now our debt's on pizza and student loans. on private taxis for burritos and student loans, dude. That's the...
Who famously said, "We in America today are nearer to the final triumph over poverty than ever before in the history of any land."
The final triumph over poverty. So interesting. Damn, Smith got rocked. Holy shit, dude. Holy shit, Smith got fucking rocked. Damn, Hoover about to enter a golden age, huh?
President Herbert Hoover, who famously said, "We in America today are nearer to the final triumph over poverty than ever before in the history of any land. The poorhouse is vanishing from among us." To many people, a skyrocketing...
Oh, he was joking. He was actually sus.
...any land. The poorhouse is vanishing...
He actually knew the poorhouse was coming back hard, but it was a little reference for the future. That's very smart. That's very smart. That's good. He knew he was going to vent the economy.
...from among us. To many people, a skyrocketing stock market was a sign of a healthy, booming economy. But things were about to take a dark turn. Catastrophe would hit. On October the 24th, 1929, a day that became known as Black Thursday, the stock market would see heavy liquidation, with a record 12.9 million shares sold.
Buy the
and
dip!
The entire stock market fell
Buy
11%.
the dip!
This day marked the beginning of the Great Depression, and the following week there would be Black Tuesday, where the market fell 12%, with a record-breaking 16.4 million shares
Buy that
sold.
dip.
Eventually, in the span of 2 weeks, stocks had lost about a third of their value. People who had borrowed money to invest were crushed, and many people lost their life savings. However, the worst was yet to come. The common belief is that the stock market crash caused the Great Depression, but this is not entirely true. The stock market triggered a recession, but the real cause of the Great Depression was that many banks had extended too many bad loans and were speculating too much. At this time, many US banks were small and independent shops that lent...
But thankfully, after this event, banks learned their lesson, turned their lives around, and stopped making subprime loans. They knew that loans that couldn't be paid back were toxic to an economy, and so they reined it in. We never had that problem again.
Lent out a large amount of their assets to people for stock market speculation. As the stock market crashed, these banks went out of business overnight. There was no...
All the banks watched a Caleb Hammer video. And they said, I don't want to be on this content. I don't want to be made fun of it.
...deposit insurance at the time. So if a local bank closed its doors, people lost their money. With headlines of many banks shutting down, people began to panic and pull their savings from healthy banks. This created bank runs on otherwise healthy banks that had to turn around and try to get all their customers' money all at once. This became a serious problem when in New York City, a false rumor started that the Bank of the United...
Damn, it had to feel so hella good to be in the front of the line of a bank run. You see a huge amount of people behind you, and you're in the front of the line, and you get your shit out. They give you your money, and you like have it, and it's got to feel fucking sweetest relief, dude. Got mine, because you know the guys in the back are screwed. You know that. You get mugged immediately? Nah, not me. I have aura.
United States refused to sell a man's stock. This was enough to cause over 25,000 people to crowd the bank, and by the end of the day, $3 million had been withdrawn from the bank. Fear was in the air,
Chump change.
and worried of a larger bank run they couldn't handle, the Bank of the United States closed its.
Hey, yo! Jeff Kimmerson with the 50 gifties. My goodness gracious. Am I crazy? But haven't you watched this video before? You gave me 50 gifties to ask if I've already seen this video? I haven't. I haven't. No, I haven't seen it. The art style looks a little similar to other style channels, but no, I haven't seen this. But thanks to the 50 gifties. Perhaps you were the first in line of a bank run? Yeah, it's oversimplified-esque for sure. I like that, I won't say Zoomers, but I think you probably are a Zoomer. Write esque, E-S-K. I see it on TikTok. It's not how esque is spelled. It's like this esque, and they put E-S-K. I think that's very funny. Cadril spelled it like that. Cadril is a Zoomer, right? Isn't Cadril like 24, 25? Cadril's a fan of Big A. So I, in turn, I've already been a Cadril fan. I watched all the T1 games on Cadril. But he sent me a super nice message, which I thought was fucking awesome. That's just... Oh, you know who told me today? The head of the LCS, Mark Zimmerman. I was at a party. He's like, dude, I like Lemonade Stand and I like Big A. And I was like, dude, that's fucking awesome. It's LTA North. I'm sorry. Yeah. He was trying to explain that shit to me at the party. And I was like, bro, that sounds like bad branding. I just kept it real. They changed LCS to LTA North. And it's like this. I was like, bro, I'm not sure about that. But, he did say some nice things about Lemonade Stand and Big A. That was really cool. Yeah, very LCS-esque.
Stores and asked the state to take over the banks.
Atrioc, did you see T1 playing poorly? Can we just get this out of the way now? Can we just fucking save time? T1 every single fucking year. Oh, they're playing poorly this year. Oh, they're trash. Oh, they're so bad. Oh, well, I guess they barely squeaked into Worlds, but they're screwed. Everyone's better than them. Oh, I guess they won Worlds. But next year... Just shut the fuck up, dude. What a waste of time. What a waste of time, dude. They're gonna fucking... they won the last 2 straight and you're talking shit? If anything, I hope they don't win. If they win 3 straight, everyone's gonna be pissed. I think it'd be better if they lose this year. I'll say it. I don't give a shit. They should lose this year badly. And everyone goes, well, that's it. Faker's the GOAT, but he's going to end on that note. Maybe talk about retirement. And then next year, the comeback. Holy cinema. The comeback. Or, dude, fuck it. Maybe they lose 2 years. Maybe they fucking lose 2 years. And then... Like, League of Legends is going to die eventually, bro. I want to, like, the year League of Legends is about to die, 2029 or something. I want Faker to come back and win one more. That would be so gas. Or they lose this year. Faker retires. You know, he's like, I'm done. I already done everything I need to do. He's got 1 million championships. Then, a few years from now, Faker's the coach, and they win again with Faker as the coach. Cinema! Faker up there smiling as he writes in his fucking notepad. Fucking incredible. I'll take any of that. I don't need another year where everyone hates them and they win. They already had that 2 in a row.
bank-backed assets. Soon after, the bank failed to get support for a short-term loan to stop the bank run and would ultimately...
Atrioc, you should have stopped the Great Depression? Nah, bro, I was a problem. I was a menace. In 1929, I was a menace, dude. I was borrowing so much money to gamble on stocks. I was going on I got panicked really easily. I went on bank runs instantly. I was walking around screaming in the streets, "Get your money out of the bank, it's gone, they're gonna take it all!" I panicked quick. I was starting bank runs left and right. Hey, thank you for the gifties. Thank you, Jeff Kemerson, for the gifties. My goodness gracious. I was a panicking. I didn't know about diamond hands at the time.
close its doors for good. It accounted for a third of the total $550 million deposits lost in the Depression. This sent shockwaves across the banking industry, and many banks began to call in loans and sell assets in order to stay liquid. 1/3 of banks in America would ultimately fail in this time period.
Okay.
Hey Joe, I just sold my car and have a few bucks now to pay you back. Which bank are you with again?
Are you crazy? Not a chance I'm leaving my money in any of those banks again.
With people choosing to hold their money outside of banks, the money supply in the US declined 31% from 1929 to 1933. And deflation has devastating effects on an economy. By causing the value of money
Makes
to
your
go
weed
up,
cheaper, I'll tell you
it
that.
reduces consumers' willingness to spend money, discourages investment, and increases the burden for those in debt. All of this leads to wages and income falling. And through this all, the Federal Reserve stood back, allowing this money supply contraction and the banking failures to happen without any intervention. A crucial mistake that has been widely criticized for making the Depression
Free coffee
much worse
and
than it
donuts
needed
for
to
the
be.
unemployed.
Through all of this, US President Herbert Hoover had no idea how to fix this and would largely be blamed for the lasting duration of the Depression.
Poor Hoover.
Following the initial stock market crash, there was a growing sentiment for isolationist and protectionist policies. In 1930, he passed the Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act to protect US farmers and other industries from foreign competitors. It increased...
And that solved it. If you can believe it, that fucking solved it. It's beautiful. It's fucking beautiful. That's what he was a visionary. He realized that by restricting trade, he could drive up the American economy, and it worked. What a brilliant bastard. It worked. And to this day, liberals have tried to keep his brilliant ideas hidden behind lock and key until thankfully my God, King, Lord, Savior, Donald J. Trump, salute, finally unearthed the ancient tomes 100 years later and brought it back. And now, finally, we have saved this fucking great nation.
Increased tariffs on foreign imports to the US by about 20%, which then
What did he
immediately
say?
led to 25 countries retaliating and putting their own tariff.
Gave us a banger, though? What is this? What is this? What is this?
Ragged, hungry, homeless. Today we're living in a shanty. Today we're scrounging for a meal. Today I'm stealing coal for fires. Who knew I could steal?
Is Annie set during the Great
I went to
Depression?
winter in the tropics.
I spent my summers at the shore.
We're doing musical kid reacts.
To throw away the papers.
I'm going to say something maybe embarrassing culturally. I thought Annie was, I feel like I've only seen the Annie remake set in like New York. Like New York in like the 1990s or something. Which Annie have I seen? I feel like, okay, wait, Annie, what have I seen? Annie remake? Yeah, I think I think I saw the 2014 one with Jamie Foxx. Yeah, I think this is the only one I've seen. and Cameron Diaz. This is the only Annie I know, but this is not Great Depression. Next movie night, original Annie. I mean, and then the only reason I know Annie, the original, existed is because of Hard Knock Life by Jay-Z. It's so hard on the iPod, dude. This is what iPods were for. That's the guy from Secret Millionaires Club. Wait, I want to hear the part where they mentioned Herbert Hoover in this song.
We don't anymore. We'd like to thank you, Herbert Hoover, for really showing us the way. We'd like to thank you, Herbert Hoover. You made us what we are today.
Wait, this is what depressions are like? The kids all become musically talented. They're poor, but they sing fun songs? That's not so bad. There's a dog in them. It's crowd theater. That seems fun. We should have a Great Depression again. Maybe this is what Trump wants. Maybe Trump's trying to bring whimsy back to America. A little bit of whimsy, a little bit of, musical spirits. That's why it was called the Great Depression. Yeah, it was great because of how fun it was. Because of how good the times were economically. Anyway, I didn't know. I did not know that. The Annie in the Depression story. I don't know. They mentioned Herbert Hoover by name.
Tariffs on American immediately led to 25 imports to the other industries from
tariffs.
foreign competitors.
Tariffs.
It increased tariffs on foreign imports to the US by about 20%, which then immediately led to 25 countries retaliating and putting their own tariffs on American goods.
Yikes.
Global trade would plummet even further from this, declining 66% worldwide from 1929 to 1934. Global trade was a relatively small piece of the American economy at the time, but this policy only made things worse. In total, the Great Depression would last over...
It's a good thing global trade isn't a much, 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 much bigger part of the American economy nowadays, and therefore amplifying the problem of these tariffs significantly. That's good. We make everything at home now. It's one of the big lessons we had of the Great Depression is that we should make everything at home, and now we do.
Only made things worse. In total, the Great Depression would last over 10 years and mark the worst economic downturn in the history of the modern world. The Dow Jones would fall 90% from its high in 1929, and many lost their jobs as companies shut down en masse. 9 million savings accounts were wiped out. Over 9,000 US banks had failed. Industry halted, and unemployment in the US reached 24.9%, its highest point in history. To make matters worse, there was a period of severe dust storms in the middle of the US that caused drought,
That was a
high
big
winds, and hurt many farms in what became known as the Dust Bowl, the worst man-made ecological disaster in American history. As farming in the US slowed down, and with 1/3 of Americans still in agriculture, this would have massive consequences. Homelessness and breadlines became a common sight.
Someone said, why didn't they just use sprinklers? Dude. You fucking solved it. Damn, I can't believe they didn't think of that. You should have been there, bro. You should have been there. Bro, I think I am doing this interview with Gavin Newsom, by the way. So I need to figure out what the fuck I'm going to ask. I feel like I want to ask about California high-speed rail. And I want to ask him point blank why the fuck it hasn't happened. I want to ask him what devil he sold his soul to get his hairline like that, because I need help. And then I want to ask... ask if it's a toupee. I might. I feel like I want to open with a hairline question. Dude, it's going to be live, by the way. We're going to do it on stream. Chat. They asked today if I wanted to co-stream it on my own channel, and I said yes. So, I mean, it's not confirmed. It's not 100% confirmed, but they're moving forward. They're asking me questions. They're asking me buying questions. So, do you think I should ask him to like tell the viewers to subscribe to Atrioc? Should I ask him to shill for the channel? Are you dead ass going to interview Newscomb? I'm not going to call him Newscomb. I'm going to interview California Governor Gavin Newsom. Yes, that's correct. And I'm trying to balance the fact where they're giving me and Doug time. So I want to be considerate and kind, but I also don't want it to be a puff piece. I want to ask some real questions. I don't know. I'm trying to balance it. I don't know exactly. It's me and Doug. Yeah. I think they're trying to do a streamer outreach thing. That's why it's not Aiden. Although I would love Aiden to be there. I think he'd have good questions too, but it's, call him Gruesome Newsom. Why? That feels like I wouldn't even get anything out of it. I would just, make him hit the Luddy. No, I'm not going to do any of these suggestions, it turns out. I'm not going to do any of these suggestions. They're not very helpful or good. But what if I make him do a Reddit recap? Hey, Gavin, sing along. You know it. It's... Come on, Gavin. Come on, you know the words. Gavin, what do you think about spoon trioc? How does that relate to California economic policy? Ask him why he's still a lib. Okay, he already... I will have to find elsewhere to get new question ideas. Tell him you're considering a presidential run? That's funny. I'll tell him I'm considering running for president. What tips does he have? And I'll do the opposite. Nudge, nudge. Based on your success. No, I don't know. I don't know what I'll ask him. I don't know. I want it to be good. And I'll watch the video. Sorry, I want to watch the video. But I would, you know, I'm a little nervous in that I want to do a good job, but I also want to, I don't know. I don't want it to be a puff piece, so I need to fucking figure out. And plus, Doug's going to have his own questions, and we only get like 30 minutes, so it's not, I don't want to overhype it, but if it happens, it happens. It'd be cool. He's probably just as nervous. Don't worry. Do you think Gavin Newsom is hanging out with his friends and family right now? Like it's Big A. I just don't want to make a fool of myself. Like should I say something about spoon trioc? Or should I play it cool? Should I moo? Yeah, I think he probably is. I think he probably is. Should I say you should stop interviewing woke libs like Charlie Kirk? And say we're about to get actually conservative on this fucking broadcast? And then talk about some real shit? That's not a bad idea.
Right. In America, there would be 34 million people without any income. Shantytowns began appearing across the country and got the nickname Hoovervilles after the now disgraced president. Could it get any...
When a huge amount of people are homeless in your country and they name their shantytowns after you, it's not a good sign for a president. That's a pretty big L. That is it's kind of like Clancyville in a way. Yeah. We're going to be calling them Clancyvilles pretty soon. Clancyville's prosperous, though. It has the illusion of prosperity. Clancyville's very Pyongyang coded. It's very North Korea, dude. You look around and everything looks built and beautiful, but it's very much a facade. The underbelly is not good. They don't show the slums of Clancyville.
Worse. In 1932, the US elected President Franklin D. Roosevelt, who promised drastic changes and action to get the country out of the Depression. With the New Deal program, for helping the needy, he established a minimum.
Atrioc, genuinely curious. 75% don't have jobs. How to visualize how bad it was. Still a huge majority, right? Listen, 1 in 4 people looking for jobs not being able to get one is horrendously bad. It's like the depths of a bad depression. And that has many knock-on effects. So, right, if you are offering a job, let's say I have a factory and I want to hire 5 people. Well, that means there's hundreds and hundreds of applicants, and I can give them the lowest possible wages. Because if they don't want it and they walk, I can get someone else. So the jobs that do remain are extremely low wage. And I can work them longer and harder because there's no competition. There's nowhere else for them to go. Call me Franklin the way my D getting Rose felt. Good follow-up to my thought on unemployment. Facts.
Wage, overtime pay, unemployment insurance, and a social security program. As for major banking reforms, he enacted federal deposit insurance on bank deposits to help prevent bank runs.
Is it a genuine question? Why doesn't buying the dip stop a company stock from tanking? Well, do you mean you specifically? If everyone did it, then that would stop it. But what's happening is more people are selling than buying. So you buying the dip is a smaller drop in a bigger ocean.
And he also added the Securities and Exchange Commission for better reporting and scrutiny on public companies. FDR's New Deal programs helped to stabilize the banking industry and restore the public's confidence. However, it would still take several years for the US economy to fully bounce back, with other countries around the world having also suffered from the Great Depression.
Yeah.
This led to the rise of extremist governments, and World War II would begin just a few years later in 1939. It wasn't until the
Dude, it really is fucking crazy how there's many causes, but how much you can blame the French specifically dude, for how bad things got in Germany. And I just want to be specific about it. After World War I, the French, more than anyone else, demand reparations from Germany in the Treaty of Versailles. They demand like extreme, impossible to pay back reparations. Everybody signs the Treaty of Versailles. It's looked down upon pretty quickly, but the French are the ones that keep pushing and keep enforcing. They keep demanding more money out of Germany. Then Germany can't pay. So the first payment is due. It's like fucking 12 billion marks or whatever. It's a million. The inflation, I don't know the number, but a lot of marks, right? Deutschmarks. And Germany can only pay a third of it. They just don't have the fucking money. So what France does is they invade Germany. This is between World War I and World War II. They invade Germany and steal a bunch of coal mines here. They take a bunch of coal mines and they try. Yeah, this is a fucking true story. It's deeply unpopular among everybody. And so, fucking, in Germany, obviously the far rightish part, the Hitler-like parties are like, we're getting invaded. We're paying endless reparations. By the way, at this time, confidence in the fucking Deutschmark goes to fucking zero. So you get the Weimar level of inflation where it's like money printing out the wazoo. $1 at the beginning of all this is worth like 7,000 marks. By the end of it, it's worth like 7 trillion. It's just fucking wheelbarrows of it. It's fucking. And so it's not, there's a lot of factors. Again, the Great Depression alone is a problem. This is not even the Great Depression included. But it is funny that if you really look into it, France was the one constantly pushing to force Germany to pay more than it could, which completely destabilized their fledgling Weimar government and made them go out of control on spending. Which is just ironic that France would then later be invaded because of this. It's just blowback, yeah. So it's all France's fault? No, I mean, at the end of the day, France had their own debts. It's a complex web, bro. I'm not saying it's all France's fault. I think it's just under-discussed how France specifically, out of all the countries in World War I, is the one most demanding of reparations beyond all good sense, and was the one willing to cross the invasion line militarily when they didn't get paid back. What I'm saying is it's France's fault 100%.
Would begin just a few years later in 1939. It wasn't until the start of World War II in 1939 that the Great Depression truly ended. It was only at this time that the unemployment rate fell below 10%, and the US saw vast stimulus to support war efforts. Economists still argue how much intervention is needed to solve an economic disaster and the effect of the New Deal program. Many of the lessons learned from the Great Depression are still used in the modern day, including the need for a small, stable amount of inflation to boost consumer spending and business investment, an increased role in government spending, and the assistance from the government to boost the economy when a recession occurs.
This is
By
all
learning from the
classic Keynesianism, and there's some solid truth to it, but I'm not going to go so into in this video. I'll just say that all three of these things are part of Keynesianism, and Keynes is extremely smart, clearly smarter than fucking me. And the only thing that's not mentioned is that it all comes with a caveat that once times are good, that's when we cut back on all this. We cut back on the spending. We start saving like crazy because there will be a recession in the future we need to save for. So Keynesianism of all of this, whether you agree with it or not, requires a fourth step, which is like, okay, once we get out of the recession, we take great pains to save and be ready for the future. And we never do that part. That part does not happen.
The modern day, including the need for a small, stable amount of inflation to boost.
He was 6'6", too. He was in the wrong economy. Keynes was 6'6", and apparently fucking like crazy. Dude, I just read this biography of Keynes, dude, that we're gonna do for the book club. There's parts in that book where it's like fucking and sucking, dude. That's crazy, dude. Bro is fucking, sucking, blowing, jerking. Dude, he's gay for the first third of the book. Then he finds this ballerina girl that he falls in love with. It's not a fictional book. It's a true book. And it's like she knew he was gay but wanted him to fall in love with her, so she wore men's pajamas. And then they're like directly reading some letters they wrote to each other about how, like, he used to be gay, but they found ways to make it work using their hands and mouths. It's graphic, dude. And like, I'm telling you, 95% of the book is about the fucking economy. Not the fucking economy. Actually, 95 is about the economy, and 5% is about the fucking economy. 95 is about the economy. It's about post World War I economic troubles and how that led to World War II, and debates about the gold standard, and and then it'll just have like this letter from Keynes, like, I want to be inside you. Just like some crazy shit. It's very, 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 very interesting, funny read. I gotta be honest with you. Anyway, that was his big takeaway in this insane economic period. And it wasn't truly followed, you know?
Consumer spending and business investment, an increased role in government spending, and the assistance from the government to boost the economy when a recession occurs. By learning from the past, we can better understand our current economic system and see any potential dangerous parallels in the future. In the end, it was greed that drove people to believe that there was no price too high for a stock and made many banks take on bad loans. And just like all bubbles, an overinflated market always sees the same ending of a painful crash.
Nah.
If you enjoyed this...
Nah. Wrong. Stocks always go up, dumb shit. Stupid fucking video. Nah, we'd win. Anyway, long react, but good video. Shout out to Casual Economics. I did enjoy that. And I do kind of want to make a video like this. I would love to find an animator. I think it'd be cool. G'day, first time catching stream, usually just watch YouTube. Civic R6, welcome to the stream. I assume you're Australian from your greeting. If you're a first time chatter, will you pick any topic you want? Do you have a topic you want to talk about? Civic R6? Any fucking topic in the world. And I will discuss it. If not, no worries. I'll just ban you. Okay. Bum bum ba da da bum bum. Australian elections. I already talked about Australian election. I have a video on it. I don't know if I have much more to add, other than Peter Dutton looks exactly like Lord Voldemort, the Australian version. I just want that to be clear. Peter Dutton looks like if Voldemort was Australian. But other than that, I have nothing to add that I didn't say in the video. Where the fuck? Where the fuck did my headphone go? God ram it. Where did it fucking go? First time chatting too. Can we talk about, you're not a first time chatter. I can literally see your 387 other messages. Don't try to cheese it. It shows me when you're a first time chatter. 4-minute video. Great law. This is, no, I don't want to. I've already watched this like 10 times. The Mechanics of Big Bird. How an FBI scam caught 7 congressmen. An FBI scam caught 7 congressmen. This is another like I guess it could be good. It's 24 minutes long. Fuck it. How an FBI scam caught 7 congressmen. Let's see what that's all about. How did they get caught? Caught? Oh, wait. My shit's fucked.
November 4th, 1979.
Okay.
John Jenrette sits in the library of a Washington, D.C. home conversing with 2 men who say they represent a wealthy Arab sheik. He asks for a drink. As one man goes to pour him a glass of whiskey, the other begins to explain.
Mr. Jenred, our bosses are prepared to offer you $50,000 right now in exchange for your assistance expediting their visa applications. Now, surely this is a small matter for an important congressman like yourself.
Jenred takes the drink and quaffs it.
Here's my guess. I'm going to guess exactly what happens here. FBI does a sting operation to see if congressmen will take bribes. They do. The congressmen get caught, but maybe one max goes to jail is my guess. One max. And then they probably punished the FBI senior leader behind this and stop him from doing it in the future. That's my guess.
In one smooth motion, unfazed. Setting the glass down, he declares,
Boys, I've got larceny in my blood. I'd take that in a goddamn minute.
Unfortunately
direct quote?
for Jenred, while the money is real, the sheik is not.
That's a
The men
direct
he's speaking
quote
with
from a
are,
congressman?
in fact, FBI agents.
I got larceny in my blood. Dude, being so open about it is really funny. Boys, I'm just corrupt for the fun of it. Hey-ya!
And the entire conversation
He's honest.
is being recorded. Within months, Jenred stood trial for bribery and conspiracy alongside 6 more members of Congress who attended similar meetings. All 7 were convicted and sent to prison in the largest federal anti-corruption sting operation
That's hype.
in American history. An operation
I
so
was
effective,
wrong.
the Senate actually drafted a bill right here. Bill 804, the Undercover Operations Act of 1983, that actually attempted to limit these types of investigations so that Congress could never be busted like this again. Now,
good.
obviously, politicians outlawing the investigative tactics that bust them for corruption is insane, and thankfully their efforts failed.
Okay.
But if that's the case, and the FBI could still do this, why don't we hear about busts like this anymore? I mean,
Because no
our
one's corrupt
politicians
anymore.
aren't magically less corrupt than they used to be. But as I dove deeper into this story and the FBI's plot became more and more absurd, phony Arab sheiks, fake bank
I would take a bribe. Don't let me get any power. I'd let that shit go to my head day one. That type of honesty is why we need you in power, my friend. Get up there. I'd vote for him. He tells it like it is. You ever seen this fucking this is like an all-time fucking great political cartoon. Why do I not have a high res version? There we go. All-time great. All-time great, dude. I'd vote for him. He looked good in a suit, too. He's sharp. Someone send me money and I'll ban anyone you want. You better send double to me. I'll ban R-dubs, and then what? And then what we got?
bank accounts, hundreds of thousands of dollars, the FBI literally inventing crime where it didn't previously exist, I began to see the conundrum here. Because somewhere along this road, there's a red line we don't want to cross, where unaccountable actors in our intelligence community could abuse these tactics to target democratically elected officials they simply don't like. So, to understand just how the FBI succeeded in this massive bust, why nothing quite like it has ever happened since, and where we draw that red line, we need to dive into the story of how the legendary Arab scam shook Washington to its core. This is Abscam.
Abscam. I have heard of Abscam, actually.
Our story begins in 1973, when guys looked like this, and the Federal Bureau of Investigation
I like
was
the
in
effort.
crisis. J. Edgar Hoover, the Bureau's director for nearly a half-century, is dead. His tenure was marked by widespread use of surveillance, possibly illegal, definitely immoral, of so-called subversives, including J. Robert Oppenheimer and Martin Luther King Jr. And in the wake of his death, the Bureau was widely seen as obsessed with petty grudges and prone to abuses of power. So when Hoover's successor, Patrick Gray, admitted to destroying documents to assist President Richard Nixon's attempt to cover up the Watergate scandal,
Yikes.
one thing was crystal clear to America. The FBI existed not to hold the powerful to account, but to suppress their critics. The FBI and America needed new leadership. When Nixon finally resigned, they got it. Promoted straight from Chief of Police of Kansas City, Missouri, awesome, Clarence Kelly was determined to reinvent the FBI and repair its reputation. To do that, though, he needed to shift the Bureau's focus from bullying easy targets to bagging high-value white-collar criminals, and that called for a whole new playbook. No more simple wiretaps and
Damn, we straight up don't do that anymore. That's we straight up do not do that, and we're better for it. You know, why go after the successful? That's my first question. Why go after the fucking successful, bro? Are you jealous? We had a jealous FBI and now we don't?
and mail interceptions, because white-collar criminal activity is typically what's called consensual. That is, they are crimes agreed to willingly by the parties involved. Those victimized are often unaware anything has happened, making these crimes especially hard to detect and investigate. So, Kelly proposed a relatively novel strategy, utilizing undercover operatives who would concoct, participate in, and document a consensual crime, exposing their counterparts. But when Long Island Field Office Director John Good received the new boss's instructions, he knew he wouldn't make much progress using just his spooks. He needed a bona fide criminal with some street cred who could
Okay.
get the ball rolling.
This would be a good-
Enter Melvin Weinberg. Weinberg was a con man and swindler for
Was there a movie of this? This feels like it could be a movie. The FBI recruited a con man to trap Congress people? Is American Hustle about this? I should watch that. Dude, I feel like maybe I have watched that. Okay, maybe I'll watch tonight. Is American Hustle about ab scam or not? American Hustle. Dude, it literally, it's inspired by. Okay, it's not actually about it. It's like a story of people. It's inspired by. It's a fictionalized tale. Okay. No, American Hustle is about women. It has women in it. I don't know if it's about women. Amy Adams is great in it. I think I have seen this movie. I just
from New York City, whom the FBI had known about for some time and relied on as an occasional informant. But by the end of the 70s, the Bureau had Weinberg's own crimes well documented, and they let him know in no uncertain terms that he'd find himself in handcuffs unless he played ball. Naturally, he complied. In addition, Good brought on field agent Anthony Amoroso, whose blue-collar Italian-American background helped sell his criminal
Hey, I like the
persona.
pasta.
By 1978, Good was ready, and he sent Amoroso and Weinberg out to solicit some deals, make some meetings, and hopefully catch the bite on camera.
okay.
Their plan had been fairly simple, if ridiculous. They
Ludwig Ludwig in the fucking 1970s FBI. The plan's fucking simple. Yeah, we get it.
posed as representatives of two fictitious Arab sheiks swimming in oil money, but who, worried by political instability at home, wanted to park their fabulous wealth in safe American investments. Thus, the internal codename was born, the Arab Scam. To sell the scam to outsiders, though, they officially incorporated Abdul Enterprises Limited, set up an office in Long Island, and opened an account with an initial $1 million deposit at Chase Manhattan Bank. They had intended to lure some shady businessmen, but after a year ferreting out these leads, they wound up hooking something beyond anything they ever expected in the unlikeliest of places: New Jersey. There, Weinberg and Amoroso met William Rosenberg, a small-time con artist who was so suckered by the promises of Abdul Enterprises Limited that he suggested he had someone else they may be keen to meet, someone who could help them secure lucrative gambling licenses, in exchange, of course, for a small finder's fee. Good's team was floored. Exposing political corruption hadn't been their plan, but their mission was to bring criminals to justice. So they took Rosenberg up on his offer, and he pointed them to the mayor of Camden, New Jersey, Angelo Ericetti. It didn't take...
Okay, let's be real, though. Oh, your big shocker is you found out that a New Jersey mayor is corrupt? So, what's your next big breakthrough? The sky's blue? Yeah, okay, great, dude. Fucking incredible detective work.
Much digging for the team to learn Ericetti faced several prior fraud investigations, and so they set a meeting. Upon being offered $25,000 to facilitate...
Yeah, I'd be more worried if he wasn't corrupt. You're telling me there's a clean New Jersey mayor? What went wrong? What the fuck went wrong? How did we get here?
Facilitate gambling licenses, Ericetti happily took the money. Even better, he told the sheik's representatives that he knew of certain members of Congress that might also be interested in helping them out. One more finder's fee later, and Abscam launched far beyond its origins as a novel but low-profile operation, beyond even its newfound purpose exposing municipal fraud into a corruption sting at the highest levels of American politics. But still, Abdul Enterprises Limited had more...
Damn, it probably felt so fucking good to be the one, not the one, probably the many, to be the super corrupt-ass congressman who just didn't pick up the phone that day. Who just like was on vacation in Bermuda and didn't fucking... Damn it, I missed Abdul. I missed the free money, but I'm out here vacationing. And then you get off, no problem. Hey, thanks, Toa Legend, for the Toa Legend. Wow, a Bionicle fan. Thank you very much for the raid.
More than a whiff of absurdity about it. How could these entirely fictitious sheiks really be enough to induce some of the most important people in the country to violate their oaths to the American public? Well, of the 7 men exposed by the FBI, 3 in particular speak to the quality of individuals in question: the idiot, the madman, and the drunk. Michael Myers really had no idea what he was doing in Washington. Those are his words. Seeking the nomination, he said of his predecessor,
"I only hope I can do as good a job as he done."
Then, inspiring confidence, he added,
"I'm not going to tell you what I'm going to do until I get there. I've only been there 3 times in my whole life."
Moreover, while in office, he threw a party at a hotel bar and attacked a security guard after shouting,
"I'm a congressman. I don't have to be quiet."
He was, by the way, just sent back to prison a couple of years ago for ballot stuffing. Before Richard Kelly made his way to Washington, the Florida man served as a judge with the unique honor.
He tells it like it is, bro. A self-proclaimed dumbass ballot stuffing congressman, and they caught him.
Of facing multiple impeachment attempts, citing apparent paranoia, psychosis, and arrogance. And despite hiring a psychiatrist to certify his sanity, Kelly's behavior during and after Abscam, as we'll soon see, helps to explain those impeachments. And finally, there's our friend John Jenrette, who actually held a
drunk.
fairly impressive record, working on the House's prestigious Appropriations Committee, founding and chairing his own Tourism Committee, and serving all 6 years as a deputy majority whip. Yet Jenrette struggled with alcoholism most of his life, and obviously was prone to recklessness, which would eventually sink his impressive career. So one answer to this
So he liked to
question
drink a little
of
bit?
how the
That's not a
FBI
crime.
pulled this off is these guys were fools. But there is a lot more to it in how the investigation itself was conducted. Even with idiots, mustering corruption convictions of members of Congress is not easy. Good's team needed unquestionable evidence that the bribe had been accepted with the target's firm understanding of the exchange. Moreover, there were clear legal
If I was a congressman and I got caught in scam giving, free gambling licenses to a Arabic company that gave me a bribe, I would simply say that I was running my own sting operation to catch them in the act. I would simply say that it was part of my congressional plan to fucking run a sting where I pretend to accept the bribe to catch them. And it's like, how could you stop me? I was watching The Watchmen.
red lines they had to carefully avoid crossing. Among those was the matter of privacy. The meetings needed to be recorded to get the evidence, but given the target's lack of corruption records, Good knew it would be hard to get warrants, maybe impossible. However, if the targets agreed to meet somewhere they had no reasonable expectation of privacy, recording was fair game. No warrant necessary. So all the meetings took place either in a New York hotel room booked by the investigators or at a townhome the Bureau rented in Washington, D.C. In either location, Weinberg and Amoroso held meetings that any member of Congress might take. They said they had potential investment to allocate and, well, your district could hold some opportunities for us. They explained the situation with the sheiks, political turmoil, safe investments, etc., tens of millions of dollars at stake. But with these politicians, they added a new twist. Before those investments could be made, the sheiks were also interested in moving to America. In exchange for a promise to introduce legislation that would grant the sheiks asylum, the target would receive $50,000 in cash. By dangling a quick buck now and massive investments later, it was easy to get these congressmen, not the brightest bunch as we've seen, to agree. Now, the fine details of the exchange varied from meeting to meeting. Madman Kelly, for example, didn't take a briefcase.
And nowadays we have a golden visa where you can just buy this like from the store. The new Trump golden visa, you can literally just buy instant American citizenship for, what is it, 5 million? 1 million? 5 million?
Instead, simply stuffing wads of cash into his pockets before asking his new friends if it was too obvious. Further, a number of congressmen simply didn't partake in the corruption, either by declining the meeting or refusing the bribe when offered. This was all the more damning, of course, for the 7 who did. They took the money in a room with no reasonable expectation of privacy.
These feel like the dumb corrupt ones. It feels like honestly this scam is so blatant that you just got the 7 dumbest corrupt members of Congress.
So they were recorded. And they did so with a clear understanding of just what it was they were agreeing to. In other words, however strange the abscam operation may seem to us today, and however idiotic the targets, it was also just compellingly formulated and competently executed such that the unsuspecting targets incriminated themselves in just about the clearest, most damning manner possible. By January of 1980, the investigators had the evidence to charge 7 men, and they were just about running out of time. Targets were starting to ask Weinberg when they should introduce the sheiks' visa legislation and when the investments they'd been promised would materialize. In other words, the facade of Abdul Enterprises, however elaborate and convincing, just couldn't be sustained. And so, on the morning of February 2nd, 1980, just 9 months after the team's first meeting with the congressman, the FBI dropped the hammer. Across the east coast of the United States, 7 congressmen, along with Atrioc, Rosenberg, and others, awoke to agents banging on their doors. They were quickly indicted and charged with bribery, conspiracy, and travel across state lines with criminal intent. When news broke, the nation was stunned, maybe not even so much at the revelation of corruption in Washington, as at the idea that the FBI actually cared. Yet, as some praised the Bureau, others immediately registered concern about the lengths to which they had gone to invent these crimes and the tactics used to invite the congressman into self-incrimination. Congress, meanwhile, attempted to balance condemnation of the corrupt members with criticism of the Bureau's tactics. The chair of the Senate Ethics Committee declared the FBI itself needed to be investigated, given how much it had crossed the line in pursuing congressmen. Echoing those concerns, most of the defendants claimed entrapment, either in their jury trials or on appeal, asserting that the government pressured them into actions to which they were not personally predisposed. But each took on their own unique flavor, especially those of our leading men. Madman Kelly had a characteristic.
What the fuck is the entrapment? I would never have been corrupt unless you offered me a lot of money. It's like, what does that mean? Like, I'm normally not corrupt unless someone offers me money for things. It's like, yeah, that's what it is. That's what the corruption is.
Bizarre defense strategy, whereby he insisted that he was actually conducting his own counter-investigation of the supposed sheik and his associates. All the bribe money he accepted and spent were operational expenses. While this defense didn't quite sway the jury
well, now I feel like a fool. Well, now I feel like a bit of a fool. I feel like I'm one of the idiot congressmen. I really thought that was brilliant. Damn, that's so fucking funny. That's so fucking funny.
appeal judge actually threw out Kelly's case, arguing his due process rights had been violated. For a moment, Kelly was the only congressman to—
Wait, it worked? Maybe I don't feel like a fool. It worked?
accepted counter-investigation of the supposed sheik and his associates. All the bribe money he accepted and spent were operational expenses. While this defense didn't quite sway the jury, an appeal judge actually threw out Kelly's case, arguing his due process rights had been violated. For a moment, Kelly was the only congressman to beat the charges until a higher appeal judge reaffirmed his conviction. Myers, meanwhile, had the genius idea to claim—
Damn, that felt pretty good. We were the only one who made it out, though. That worked? Damn, it works for a little bit. I mean, he worked better than everyone else. That's fucking wild, dude.
that prior to the meetings caught on camera, he was coached by Weinberg that the whole thing was a charade, that the sheik just wanted to have some fun by pretending to bribe a politician. When the chair of a House Ethics Committee inquiry asked him why then he received real money for a fake bribe, Myers was dumbfounded and replied, quote,
"I thought it was a fairy tale."
Ironically, John Jenrette, who'd claimed he had larceny in his blood, actually—
Also, that doesn't explain why you would do it. If you're a congressman and some fucking Abdul Incorporated guy shows up and says, hey, I represent an Arabic oil sheik that wants to pretend to bribe a congressman for money, could you play along? Why do you say yes? Oh, it's for fun? Oh, it's a goof? Yeah, okay, for sure. I'll pretend to get bribed. Why? Why the improv? Yes, and he just wanted to do it for the content, just a LARP.
Had the best chance at winning his trial because it turns out he hadn't taken the money on camera. Instead, he had an associate pick it up 2 days later, which, however, he did confirm in a recorded call with Weinberg. He tried to argue that he'd just been helping his associate get some money and that he was an alcoholic who'd lost the straight and narrow, succumbing to temptations which would challenge the resolve of any man. Though a judge declared, quote,
"I have a great deal of sympathy for you.
Jenrette was convicted and sentenced to prison like all the
Good
rest.
judge. I mean,
Now, batting 1,000 on convictions of sitting members of Congress is no mean feat. And yes, part of the reason is that these guys...
the law cannot only apply to senators who aren't drunk. Like, I get the argument, but you can't just be like, dude, I was fucking drunk. I was like, it was a tough time. I was fucking drunk. You can't, that can't be a real defense.
Guys were pretty dumb. But also, the investigation just worked. It was a realistic simulation of the sorts of proposals that could be made to a political figure, and these guys accepted it. And importantly, not everybody approached by the FBI did, for the same reason that the FBI was able to neutralize all the entrapment claims. Because the investigation was cleanly run. When targets said no, like in the case of House Speaker Tip O'Neill, the FBI backed off. When they said no, but the FBI didn't. And it clearly wasn't a targeted hit job by the executive branch either. 6 of the 7 convicted were members of President Carter's party, and larceny-blooded Jenrette was actually the first member of Congress to endorse Carter for the nomination when he ran in 1976. So there's still this big nagging question. Why doesn't this happen anymore? Part of the answer lies with the Senate, who tried in the aftermath of Abscam to basically make this kind of thing illegal. They flirted with ideas like requiring warrants, sure to doom any operation connected to corrupt judges, but eventually drafted this bill, which proposed to hand Congress oversight of undercover operations, say goodbye to federal corruption stings, and to require probable cause for all such investigations, say goodbye to any kind of sting. Because remember, this type of operation is useful for busting consensual crime, the sort of thing where probable cause is basically impossible to come by, and courts have made it clear that this would be an unreasonable standard because nobody's rights are violated here. It's up to you to make sure the person you're talking to is trustworthy when you say you've got larceny in your blood. And though I mentioned at the outset of this video that this bill was never ratified, it was a warning shot to the FBI, and they took notice. The Department of Justice ultimately adopted some procedures that made conducting undercover ops harder, and though that's not necessarily a bad thing, their rules went further by setting special conditions that made investigating politicians especially difficult. So yeah, part of the reason we don't see investigations like this is just that politicians are protected from it more than private citizens.
Well, that sucks.
Which just seems wrong. But this is where the question of that red line comes back in, where we have to ask, at what point are we at risk of enabling abuse by an unelected intelligence community? Remember, the FBI's behavior and reputation from the Hoover period and Watergate. That is what it looks like when agencies like the FBI have no guardrails.
Yeah, I mean, there is a
Yet,
line.
when politicians are so clearly predisposed and willing to take bribes, it's hard to say those guardrails should be designed to provide them with special protections. Just earlier this year, for example, history rhymed when another New Jersey senator, Bob Menendez, was convicted of accepting bribes from a Middle Eastern mogul. Except this time it was the Egyptian government, not an FBI agent.
He got a bunch of
and
gold.
the bundles of cash were instead literal gold bars. But this arrangement with Egypt lasted years, and it wasn't even this scumbag's first rodeo. He was tried for corruption back in 2015, but a mistrial rendered no verdict. There's no way to be sure, but an Abscam-style sting might have stopped him a lot earlier with a lot less damage. Remember, this whole story went down in like 9 months because stings do work. However, they might just not work as well as they once did because corruption is just a lot less illegal than it once was. This graph helps explain. Back when Abscam happened, basically nobody was retiring from Congress and going into lobbying. But today, more than half do so. These are jobs offered by lobbying firms to retiring members of Congress who, while in office, did their part to advance the firm's agenda. That is obviously bad, but it's completely legal.
That's good.
And there's more than this. Remember, for example, how some members of Congress made huge money trading stocks right at the outset of COVID. I mean, there's all kinds.
You better not say one bad word with my goat, Nancy Pelosi. She's just a great investor. And I'm so sick. I'm so sick of the fucking woke mob coming for my goat, dude. She's out here trying to trade. She's out here just trying to get to be part of the hustle, dude. She's on Wall Street bets. She's sorting by new. She's finding the good ideas.
Kinds of things like this, which are obviously shady. But a sting operation isn't any good when that's all legal. And when that's all legal, suddenly clearly illegal offers of
She does her due diligence,
$50,000 from a mysterious sheik start to sound like pretty bad risk-reward situations. So here we are again, back in many ways where we started in 1973 after Watergate. Corruption abound, leadership absent, the public cynical, without a whisper of a promise that the ship is soon to be righted. As then, America needs new leadership. And while at the time of writing the election is undecided, it's certain we've just gotten it one way or another. But more importantly, America needs reform, which goes beyond the actions of a single figure. A Clarence Kelly couldn't fix our busted campaign finance regime, our lobbying system, or Congress's stock trading habits. And neither will a president, whoever it is. Leadership matters. Of course it does. But it will take legislative action for any of these problems to be addressed. And that requires public pressure. Even with all that said, we still face the same perpetual conundrum. We know the line needs to be redrawn, but where? It's really not for us to say, but perhaps we can start to get an idea by talking about it. And hopefully the bizarre 1970s saga of Abscam helps shed a certain light. And on that note, I think this episode really is revealing of at least one thing.
What's that?
How belief in progress can actually end up concealing ways in which we may have regressed. Lots of things in our politics and society are better today than they were in the 70s, of course, but some things really just look better, like corruption. It's still there, but the facade is cleaner, less offensive, more attractive. This time of year, as we become inundated with ads promising that this or that grand new invention or rogue politician is going to solve all our problems, it's worth remembering that newness isn't necessarily progress, and that sometimes we ought to recall the fundamentals of what we've long known works and use the knowledge we've gained since to refine those ideas to perfection. And that's exactly why I genuinely love and am excited to tell you about the Henson razor.
Dude, I was like, where the fuck is he going with this? Incredible segue. That was crazy. I did not see that coming. I knew it was an ad or felt like an ad, but I could not tell where he was going with this. I got lobbied. Good video, though. Spectacles. Good video. Good video. Good fucking video. You won't regret this. What is this? Fritz? No, I don't want to watch the fucking...
The 1918 Nobel Prize.
What's this? Hit the pitcher at 103 miles per hour in the face. MLB The Show 23.
Deal 2. Ouch, that one drilled him. Safe at first, and now we'll check on the right hand.
Wouldn't that fucking kill him? Jesus Christ.
Hope he's all right.
Pablo Lopez has taken a nasty shot to the head. He's having trouble focusing and is exhibiting concussion-like symptoms. The medical staff has decided to remove him from the game. Jesus Christ. Poor Pablo, dude. He died doing what he loved. Isn't that like always a risk if you're a pitcher that they just hit a fucking dinger straight into your face? Straight into your dome piece? You got a duck? Just get good reaction time? I think pitchers should be given a bat of their own that they wear on their back. And then after they pitch it, they should be able to take the bat off and then hit it. If it gets hit towards them, they can hit it again. And it's called a counter home run, okay? If you hit it back and it hit the batter, you can get them out. What if the batter hits it again? Well, then you have a bit of a ping pong situation, and the best batter wins. Like tennis. Yeah, I think that'd be hype. You're not a first-time chatter, John H. You have many other messages, it seems. New Veritasium. Here's the fucking problem, boys. It's almost 11. A short, funny video about the
abundance of iconic combinations.
Russo-Japanese War. Have we watched this? The Russo-Japanese War is the one where Russia thought they would fucking crush, and then Japan owns them. Short video about Rome democracy.
I've been thinking about the Roman Empire again.
What killed Rome's democracy?
Hello, I'm Ryan F.
I think we could just do the Russo-Japanese War one. I guess that's fine. Super Mario 64 marketing techniques?
Tell me if this sounds...
That's not marketing technique. It's an invisible wall. You lied. And it's 3 hours and 45 minutes. There's no marketing in it at all. And why the fuck is this 3 hours and 45 minutes long to explain invisible walls in Mario 64? It's so good. It just doesn't need to be that long. It does not need to be that long. There's no way. There's no way. Japan analysis? What is it? What is it? Japan analysis. It's about Japanese memes? I don't know. I'm looking for a fucking good one. I'm looking for a good one.
In February?
I'm looking for something that's like a real fucking banger, dude. Is that so much to ask? Just a real heater. Something where we watch it and we go, damn. We watched that Pakistan video about Tekken. It was great. We could watch. I mean, this is what we started with.
On those Dos Equis commercials, they have the most interesting man in the world. But today, I'm going to talk about someone who could actually possibly be one of the most interesting men in the world. Alcibiades,
won't be the judge of that.
Who was a general, orator, and politician during the Peloponnesian War.
Okay.
In my video on that war, I breezed through most of the second half of it for brevity's sake, but today, we'll slow right down and look just at what exactly went so horribly wrong with Athens through the lens of the incomparable Alcibiades. Now, Alcibiades is indisputably the most attractive man in the ancient world. That's a fact, and it's very important for the story.
Okay.
Basically, if you combine the attractiveness of George Clooney, Chris Evans, and Henry Cavill, you'll get Alcibiades on an off day, like when he's just gotten up in the morning. That's the kind of attractiveness we're talking about with this guy. Alcibiades also had a well-earned reputation for banging just about everybody, and he also had a terrible knack for convincing people to do really, really stupid things, as we'll see. Likely because of his dashing good looks and possible mind control powers. Alcibiades would go up to someone and say, "Hey, Stephanos, how's it going? Remember that time we banged last month? Not sure if you forgot, but I just wanted to remind you that I'm still totally gorgeous." You know what, Alcibiades? You're right. Here, take my money, house, wife, and firstborn daughter. You deserve it, Alcibiades. Thank you, Stephanos. Catch you on the flip side. And no one would question it. So we've established that Alcibiades has a little bit of Kilgrave in him, but he's also a bit of a Joker character. So he's the ancient world's foremost crazed supervillain. And with that out of the way, to history. In 415 BC, in the middle of a period of peace between Athens and Sparta, Athens' ally Egesta appealed for help against Syracuse. In the Athenian assembly, they were debating what to do about this when Alcibiades said, "Guys, I've got an idea, and I'm gorgeous, so you're going to listen to me." And everyone said, "You got it, Alcibiades, we're listening." He said, "How about, while we're in Sicily defending Egesta, let's just go and take the rest of Sicily too. We'll kick out Syracuse, those dirty Spartan sympathizers, and the whole thing will be ours. We'll have more of an empire because that's totally awesome." And Nicias gets up, who was a guy who had organized a peace 6 years prior that stopped the fighting between Athens and Sparta, so he did not like war and expansion-y thingies, and said, "Alcibiades, that's a terrible idea. I think we should absolutely not do that." To which Alcibiades said, "Let's put it to a vote. Who wants to go and invade Sicily?" Everyone raises their hand, and Nicias falls back in his chair like,
he like popularity contest him, dude. He fucking, he shut up, nerd. He mocked him. Dude, public vote when the other guy's balding? That's crazy. He just fucking...
Crap, Alcibiades strikes again. Okay, guys, here, how about this? If we really wanted to invade Sicily, we'd need a stupidly huge navy. I mean, we already have a big navy, but we need 200 ships to go and invade Sicily, and there's no way we could do that. And Alcibiades gets up again and says, "Guys, I think that Nicias over here has given us a perfect solution to this problem. How about we raise a giant navy of 200 ships and go over to Sicily? Raise your hand if you agree." And everyone, of course, raised their hand in agreement. And Nicias again is like, "Oh no." So Athens devoted the next 3 turns to production and assembled the biggest naval armada ever seen. Athens already had a huge navy, but this one was just absurd. However, a night shortly before the expedition was to leave, something curious happened to the Herms of Athens. The Herms were statues that were really just stone square torsos with a head and male genitals on them. It's the closest thing the Athenians had to...
What?
Statues that were really just stone square...
They just didn't do the body, but they added the nuts. If it was just the head, I get it, but why add the nuts and the scrot? Why add the fucking pubes?
Where torsos with a head and male genitals on them. It's the closest thing the Athenians had to minimalist art, although I feel like the Herms might find that offensive. These pieces of art, let's call them, were sacred to Hermes,
adding the
who watched
bush
over
is
travelers,
crazy.
meaning that if anything were to happen to the Herms, it would be very bad omen for those who were traveling. Well, just before some rather big travel plans to Sicily went into motion, a group of rowdy college kids went about, let's say, de-herming the Herms, put it that way, and that's a no-no. The next morning, Athens was up in arms about what is now called the Hermocopid conspiracy, and wanted to figure out who was responsible. For some reason, Alcibiades was implicated in the treachery and accused of colluding in the conspiracy, which, if you think about it for more than 2 seconds, makes 0 sense. Alcibiades was the guy who pushed the idea of the expedition in the first place, so why would he then turn around and try to sabotage it?
Off?
Admittedly, in the context of his character, as we'll see later on, it makes perfect sense, but right now, it's kinda weird. So, fine, whatever. Alcibiades goes to the assembly and says, "Hey dudes, it's me, Alcibiades. Still gorgeous, possibly more gorgeous than yesterday. I'm about to leave for this big glorious expedition thing that we have going on that we talked about last week. And if you want to put this sculpted face right here and this glorious jawline on trial, how about we do that now so you guys don't recall me in the middle of my campaign, because that would be really stupid. What do you say?" And Athens collectively responds, "Nah, we'd rather wait until you're like just about to get to Sicily but not there yet, like right before you get there, and then recall you and probably put you on trial and possibly put you to death." And Alcibiades is like, great, fine. And the expedition...
To death? for knocking the nuts off half-finished statues? He went from being he got all the votes and everyone loved him, and then possibly, maybe he knocked nuts off statues and they have to kill him? Harsh but fair.
Heads out to glorious fanfare. Their first clue that everything was going to fail horribly should have been when, while sailing around the bottom of Italy's boot, the Athenian fleet docked at towns and expected to be greeted with fanfare and a feast, but no one even bothered to show up or acknowledge them. So they carried on. As they were making their way to Sicily, Alcibiades, Nicias, who was also made a general of the expedition probably in a cruel twist of fate, and an actually good general named Lamachus were planning the expedition. Nicias proposed the smallest possible engagement and sticking to helping out Egesta and doing little else. Lamachus proposed a direct assault on Syracuse to catch them off guard and get rid of them first. Alcibiades, however, proposed that they go to Egesta first, which was on the far side of Sicily, and then work their way across the island, going town to town, amassing soldiers from the locals as they went. Even though this is a very, very stupid plan, because it gives Syracuse time to prepare because they see them coming, and as we've seen, the people of Italy do not really seem to like the Athenians much, Lamachus leaned over and said, "Oh, of course, anything for you, Alcibiades. We'll go with your plan because you're so totally gorgeous." Nicias said, "What the hell, Lamachus? You're supposed to be smart!" So right as this is happening, as they're about to land in Sicily, as the Athenians had expertly prophesied, Alcibiades gets a letter saying, "Hey, Alcibiades, come back to Athens."
Dude, I got 5 gifties from Alcibiades' Stan account. Perfect timing. Perfect fucking timing.
We want to put you on trial like we said we would. Alcibiades is like, crap, okay, fine. So the boat that's going to recall him to Athens shows up, and Alcibiades says, "Guys, I have one last request. If you would please let me take my boat back to Athens instead of this little dinghy you guys brought, because my boat's as gorgeous as I am, and I'd like to be on something equally gorgeous to me." The Athenians who were there to recall him said, "Okay, Alcibiades, you little scamp, sure, no problem." And they set sail, the two of them, their boats. And Alcibiades is behind the Athenian boat, couple boat lengths behind, as you're supposed to do when you're driving. And the Athenians are like, "Hey, Alcibiades, you're falling a little bit behind there." And he says, No, it's okay. I can do what I want. You guys are fine. Just keep going. I'm here." The Athenians keep going ahead. Alcibiades falls a little bit further behind. The Athenians say, "Hey, Alcibiades, you still back there?" And Alcibiades is like, "Don't worry, I'm good. I'm great. Just keep going. I'm following you. You guys are leading the way fantastically." And the Athenians keep going. Alcibiades starts peeling off more and more and more, and then goes left and pisses off to Sparta. So the Athenians are like, crap. And Alcibiades goes to the king and says, "Hey, Spartan king, I'm Alcibiades. I'm gorgeous. You could do with me." Spartan king says, "I could do with you, hot stuff." So then Alcibiades gets a long and prosperous 2 or 3 year career of basically telling the Spartans how to defeat the Athenians, which sounds like a pretty good deal.
He just flipped sides and betrayed. Damn, what a rat fuck. I guess if you're about to be put to death over someone else knocking nuts, you gotta do what you gotta do.
Alcibiades spends some time colluding with the Spartans and doing his thing, but then eventually they kind of realized that after a son was born that looked a little bit too much like Alcibiades, that he may have been fooling around with the queen, so the Spartan king said, "Get the hell out of my house, I don't care how gorgeous you are. Clearly my wife."
Damn, he showed up, ratted on his old country, then fucked the Spartan king's wife?
Wife does. Alcibiades says
menace.
bye, and then he goes over to Persia, just because why not? And he hangs out with the local governor there, a satrap called Tissaphernes, and gave him advice on how to deal with the whole Athenian-Spartan conflict that was going on. Right now, we're actually going to divert away from Alcibiades and go back to the Sicilian expedition and talk about what happened there, because it's actually kind of hilarious even without Alcibiades there. So, the Athenians were on their way from Egesta in the far west to Syracuse in the far east, trying to gather soldiers all along their way, like Alcibiades' plan called for. Okay. But perhaps unsurprisingly, no one really wanted to join them because no one outside of Athens really likes Athens all that much.
Right.
So that didn't exactly go very well, and by the time they had gotten to Syracuse, they were met by a strong Syracusan opposition, as Nicias had warned them about.
Right.
When you're sieging a city in the ancient world, the idea is that you build a wall around the city to starve them out and cut off their food supply. In the opposite order, of course. And when the Athenians tried to do that with Syracuse, they kind of failed horribly because the Syracusans were crafty and clever. So as the Athenians were building their wall across, the Syracusans shot out a perpendicular counterwall to basically stop their wall from going any further. This happened 3 more times, hilariously, until Lamachus actually died at the battle, and then it gets sad.
That's
it becomes
so
hilarious again
goated.
later, but for now it's sad. So the wall war was lost, and the Athenians went back to try and figure out what to do, since the Syracusans still had access to outside food. At this point,
it's funny. I've been watching some like pro AoE 2 players, and there was a guy that did that where some guy walled himself in to try and tech up, and then the other guy built a wall like 1-to-1 around his wall, walling him in, and then took the rest of the map and all the resources. He walled in his wall, and it was like, I'm not coming in. You could just stay in there. That shit was goated.
Point, Nicias was quite sick because he was staying in a nearby swamp, and he sent a letter to Athens seeking help and asking for him to be relieved because he was sick and kind of dying. The Athenians heard him loud and clear and sent a response saying, "What's that? You want us to send you more troops and keep you where you are? Don't worry, Nicias, we got you, buddy." So they sent another general after the other two either died or left, and this guy Demosthenes shows up. This guy's deal was always doing night attacks. Whether or not it worked, he loved to do it.
Love that.
His first brilliant plan upon showing up was to capture the strategic position of Epipolae, which was a hill outside of Syracuse. To make sure that the Athenian side didn't accidentally kill itself in the confusion and nighttime-ness, they came up with a code word which I can only presume was marshmallow. So they would be able to say marshmallow to each other and know that they were on the same side. Now, a slight, massive problem here was that the Athenians were fighting alongside Argives from Argos. Argives are Dorian. Syracusans are also Dorian. The Athenians are Ionian, which are different dialects of Greek. Now, when the Argives were getting ready for battle, they did their typical Dorian war chant. The Athenians, of course, freaked the hell out because upon hearing Dorian dialect and a war chant conspicuously close to their camp, they think, oh my god, the Syracusans have infiltrated us, we're gonna die, we need to go kill those guys. Forgetting that they have Argives right there, but I guess that kind of slips your mind in the middle of a nighttime assault. So things go wrong.
They fought their own.
So the Athenians are stabbing the ever-loving hell out of these poor Argives who are screaming, "Marshmallow, marshmallow, don't kill me, marshmallow, please, marshmallow, oh god, my spleen." And the Syracusans over on the other side of the hill are like, "Hey, Stephanos, do you think that marshmallow thing is it's a code word? They're saying it as if to convey, I'm on your side, please don't stab me. Oh my god, why'd you stab me?" But then it seems like maybe if we use that code word, we can sneakily murder all of them. So they did, and they walked through the Athenian camp whispering, "Hey, marshmallow, stab. Marshmallow, stab, stab." Going around whispering marshmallow and murdering everybody. So the Syracusans are killing the Athenians and the Argives. The Athenians are killing the Argives, and the Argives are patiently, not so patiently, getting murdered. So the whole experiment kind of falls apart, but that's what happens when you kill your own people thinking they're someone else. Life lessons, kids.
What in hell?
So at this point, the Athenians are starting to think maybe we should just get out of here and cut our losses. But at that moment, the Spartans show up and sort of blockade in, with the help of the Syracusan fleet, all of the Athenian ships. They fight a naval.
They built a harbor barrier. That's fucking crazy. You're trapped in here with me. They pulled a fucking what's the guy from Watchmen? Rorschach. They pulled a Rorschach.
Battle to try and get out, but it doesn't exactly work. So when Nicias goes back to his camp, still pneumonia'd out of his mind, he goes to the Oracle and says, "What do we do? This kinda sucks." The Oracle says, "You gotta wait 27 days before you try to retreat again." Nicias says, "All right. Fine, I'll listen to it." And his advisors say, "Nicias, that's really stupid. We should go now. We have a chance." Nicias says, "Nope. Shh, 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 shh." Oracle says. And they're like,
"Wait, where's the hot guy?"
And they do, but I'm getting there. Don't get ahead of me. So the boats are kind of wrecked because as they're staying in this swamp waiting for 27 days for a retreat, they get completely waterlogged. The thing with triremes is you gotta take them out and clean them every once in a while. And when they're in a swamp, you don't get the chance to take them out and clean them every once in a while. So that doesn't really go very well, and they try instead to do a land retreat. Remember, kids, Sicily is an island. So you can probably figure out where this one's going. The sad plot twist is that the Athenians were not Jesus, so they couldn't just walk over the water and escape the whole island thing. So they're all ultimately captured and killed. It's really sad.
What a disaster.
This is a comedy show, so I'm going to breeze right over that and get back to Alcibiades, who's in Persia, and he's giving the local governor some advice.
So Alcibiades completely fucked over Athens, went to Sparta, fucked over the queen, Lefty kid, and now is in Persia, not giving a shit about the.
But he never really planned to stay in Persia for an extended period of time. His ultimate goal was to come back to Athens with a bunch of Persian money and be like, hey guys, look, it's me, Alcibiades. Still totally gorgeous, now totally rich. Aren't I awesome? You should welcome me back and not kill me like you said you would. That'd be great. So, soon enough, he leaves and goes to the nearby Athenian fleet that was tooling around in the Aegean Sea, and convinced them that the radical democracy in Athens was no good, that they should totally overthrow it and replace it with an oligarchy. An oligarchy would benefit Alcibiades.
He's a rogue felon who comes back years later, encounters the fleet, and convinces them to overthrow the government? He must be fucking hot.
Because no democracy means no death sentence for him. Thus begins the most comical political overthrow ever. So, some salient details first. The rich people of Athens really like the idea of the oligarchy because the oligarchy means they're in power, whereas democracy means those poor peasants are in power.
Right.
So, they called a meeting outside
I actually think you had to be a landowner to vote in Athens. Like, the peasants never could vote.
Athens, just outside the city walls, to discuss political stuff. The thing is, since it's outside the city walls, only the rich would have showed up because the rich people of Athens would have been able to supply their own armor and weapons. The reason armor and weapons are necessary is because usually the Spartans are outside of the Athenian walls wreaking havoc, so only those who could have protected themselves would have been not scared and gone outside. Very sneakily, you've called a meeting of only the richest people in Athens. This group of upstanding citizens did what's called suspending the graphe paranomon, which is the law against illegal laws. I know it sounds ridiculous because it is. So basically, in suspending the graphe paranomon, illegal laws are now legal, which literally means they wrote a law that got rid of the democracy and instated an oligarchy of 400 aristocrats. So in this situation, Alcibiades would be very happy because the death sentence on it is kind of gone.
What a joke.
What happened then was that the new oligarchy in Athens started executing people really harshly. And the fleet, which was oligarchic, said, no, we don't like that. We don't stand for that. And for the first time ever, created a democracy for ideological reasons rather than political reasons. Which is really interesting, but kind of ridiculous because you have an oligarchic fleet in a democratic city which flip-flops to an oligarchic city in a democratic fleet. What? But Alcibiades doesn't care because he can go on and do whatever he wants.
And he's hot.
As long as Athens isn't a democracy for the moment, the death sentence is kind of gone.
Yeah.
Which is good. So he goes around fighting some battles, doing some stuff with the fleet.
Cool,
and in 407, he goes back to Athens. And they're like, cool, Alcibiades, still gorgeous. You got that silver fox look. He's like, I know, still looking good. Always did, always will. And then they're like, hey, so Alcibiades, you're good. We like you. No death threat this time. Go out, do your stuff, keep being awesome, and win us some battles. And he's like, you know it, guys. So Alcibiades is doing his thing up until 406 of the Battle of Notion, when Alcibiades presumably had to use the restroom. So he tells one of his guys, look, you, I'm going to go to the restroom. I'm going to be gone for like 5 minutes, maybe. I need you to be in charge, but not touch anything. Don't look at the Spartans. Don't think about going to fight them if you see them, because you shouldn't see them because you shouldn't be looking at them. And just don't do anything, please.
Okay.
Just gonna be gone for like 5 minutes. You can handle this. And he's like, okay, boss, you got it. And he does the thing where he like salutes, but he hits himself in the eye because he's one of those guys. But then Alcibiades leaves. And he's like, hey, boss said we should go fight the Spartans, right? The other guy's like, yup. So they do, and they fight the Battle of Notion and lose horribly.
Okay.
And Alcibiades comes back, he's like, what the hell, guys? I was gone for like 5 minutes. The other guy's like, oops. And Alcibiades is like, okay, fine, screw this. I'm out of here. And he goes and leaves and runs off to his private castle in the northeast of Greece because he just kind of, has one of those.
He doesn't care.
The last historically significant event of Alcibiades' life was the Battle of Aegospotami, which was the last battle of the Peloponnesian War. And this battle is actually kind of funny because he's living sort of near where the battle was, so he leans over to the Athenians and he's like, hey, Athens, you're at a strategically disadvantageous position and you think you should move. Athens is like, no, shut up, Alcibiades. He's like, fine, but you're gonna lose. So they ended up losing. Alcibiades was right. And then, sort of after that, Alcibiades just kind of dies. Historical accounts of Alcibiades...
That's crazy. Bro was a lifelong menace. He did nothing. He died backseating.
Alcibiades' death are kind of all over the place, but I personally am preferential.
Died backseating in a war that he like started, or at least amped up the aggression of.
The version where his house is attacked
What
by
a
assassins
menace.
and burned down, and he jumps out with a knife like, "Come at me, bros!" Then he gets killed by a swarm of arrows. It's not very flattering, but it's kind of cool, so that's the one I go with. But anyway, there you have it, folks. The life of arguably one of the most interesting characters in the ancient world, and in my opinion, one of the most interesting characters in all of history. It's amazing how the majority of ancient Greece's funniest stories all surround this one guy. But at the same time, how could it not? Because, I mean, look at him. He's gorgeous.
Oh, I think the real-life Henry Cavill's wasting an opportunity to cause a lot of ruckus. He's doing the fucking Witcher when he could be, like, starting wars. Chat, that's going to be it for me. Nuclear bunkers, I do appreciate you dropping in, but end of the stream, it's 11 o'clock. I have to feed my cat medicine for his not broken, but his limp. 77777. Thanks for watching. See you on Monday. I'll be gone tomorrow, but I'll be back on Monday. Thank you for watching. Good night. Appreciate you joining for Get Smart. I was a little late today. Do we raid? I don't think anyone's really live. Not watching you want. Goodbye. Good night. Thanks for watching.